The battle is come together, regardless of where you are from. That is why we are here. How we can work together. Not looking at religion, not looking at, but all taking everyone as brother. Now we say, taking all men brother, we are not talking of whether you are, it has no feminine gender or masculine gender. It's all human beings. So you see, and we have to help each other to adjust to the new way of life. Because it's not something we can do alone. A tree cannot make a forest. We need to come together, to work together, to fight it together. Unfortunately, many people in our communities still believe that COVID-19 is a hoax. While some believe it's the illness of the rich, or of the white race, or of a particular set of people. I'm sorry, they are very far from the truth. Taking on men brother does not COVID-19 does not discriminate. So like our name, taking on men brother, we must not discriminate in this fight. Taking on men brother is very real. It's very real. Because we have been so lucky in this part of the world, does not mean it's not there. And I'm sure we can't look at all of us here and not see somebody who has heard about somebody or known somebody that has been, or some family that have been devastated by this. Through the loss of loved ones and so on. It has happened to people. And because you have been lucky, it's just by God's grace. So we must work together. And we have to adjust to the reality of the new way, the new normal, in the way we interact. In our businesses, in our professional lives, in our economic life, the way we interact, the way we deal. We have to be realistic. This is not the time to be guessing or saying, don't mind them. This is the time for facts. Because the second normal is already affecting some parts of the world. We just need to look at, it's a global village. The statistics, the everything. We can see what's going on. A lot of people being affected. Because it's happening at that part of the world does not mean it can't happen here. God spare us. And we too should work. God, heaven help those who help themselves. A word is sufficient for the wise. We have been talking about this thing. Our professionals are here to tell us better than I can even say. So permit me to seize this opportunity to sincerely appreciate KCID, our principal partners, whom without their financial support, this event would not have been possible. We appreciate the Lagos Center for making this venue available to TAMEB every time we need their support. We also like to thank Interfaith Mediation Center, Center for Environment and Rural Development, Peculiar Treasures Ministry, International, Center for Intercultural and Special Needs, Peace Point Development Foundation, for all of them for collaborating with us on this project, thereby making this seminar available across the country. Thank you all for partnering with us, and we look forward to greater collaboration in future. Lastly, to all our attendees here and in other places all over the country, we are very grateful. Thank you for taking time out of all your busy schedule to be a part of this. We really appreciate you. And because without your participation, the seminar will not be a success. Therefore, our immense gratitude is to welcome you and wish you a great seminar. I'm sure you will not regret it. You will enjoy this. We all learned something. Thank you all. All my daddies and mommies, all our loved ones here. Thank you all. We really appreciate you.
Please, can you put your hands together for my own mommy? Come on, put your hands together for mommy. Put your hands together for mommy. Yes, there's something about mothers. Mothers are beautiful. I think International Men's Day was day before yesterday. Was it day before yesterday or yesterday? Was it day before yesterday or yesterday? It was yesterday. Okay, please, can we put our hands together for all the men in the house? If you are a man, put your hands together for yourself. We will be considering, like mommy said, post, COVID effects. For me, COVID has been an amazing experience. If you've not lost somebody to COVID-19, you might not understand the, effect and the dangers of the virus. I mean, we were in a downfall bus from, I think, Fadeyi to Palm Grove, I think last week or so. And somebody just started coughing inside the bus. Just started coughing. All of us started looking at him. He said, no, Emma Binu, me only COVID or tuberculosis in the morning. So people would rather not have COVID-19 because of the miscommunication of what the virus can do and not do, which is what this event is all about today. It is getting experts to come and tell us what it is, what it isn't, and how we can take precautionary measures for ourselves and then for our family members alike. We'll be moving straight into our panel session immediately. I promised you that today we're not going to waste anybody's time because we believe that time is money and time is life. So if you're just joining us, I'm aware that we're also streaming this event live. Those in Antarctica, those in Switzerland can see what we're doing right here in Ikeja in the city of Lagos. We are about to kickstart the panel session for this inaugural event that has been themed the post-COVID-19 effect on the individual and the community. Post-COVID-19 effects on the individual and the community. How has it affected the individuals? For our mothers here, awale ni láti sọ̀rọ̀ nípa the after effect ìgbà tí COVID dé, ìgbà tó dé tán, ipa wo ló ṣe lára ọ̀dọ́ àti the community as a whole. So that is what I'm going to be asking our expert here about. So I'd like to start with someone very interesting. Everybody here is interesting. Everybody here is interested. But I'd like to start with Miss Christiana Olakpade Ojo. Miss Christiana Olakpade Ojo. Good morning, ma.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming.
MC. Thank you for having me. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
For gracing our event this morning. So the first quick question I have for you is very simple because it seems like, this is just an afterthought now. It seems like we are hearing cases, for example, I'm a huge fan of CNN. If you watch CNN, you hear America is recording deaths in their thousands, right, in their millions. And it seems like what we're doing here in Africa is almost a hoax. Because if you say we had an NSAS protest with that magnitude, and we've not recorded a truncated number of COVID-19 cases, then there are questions that need to be answered. So, moving forward, what do you say to those that suggest that we are being punished by the gods or God through COVID-19?
That's really funny. Being punished by the gods or punished by God?
Yes.
Well, some school of thought will embrace that. They would say that this could be a punishment from God to mankind. And if we look at it from another perspective, it could be really because man, the way you treat your environment is how the environment will respond to you. So in the olden days, I'm an ethnographer as well, doubled with so many other things. What we do is we study what has happened in the past. We study the culture of people. We study how people interact with how cultures interact, and how people manage their problems. And we know that in the past, hundreds of years ago, there was the Shokmono pandemic, Itaude. And we believe
I'm sorry,
that
what did you say?
Shokpono pandemic.
Shokpono.
Shokpono, not Shokpono.
Not Shokpono.
No.
Shokpono.
Shokpono, yes,
Shokpono.
that's smallpox.
Okay.
Which is also a viral infection.
Wow.
So in those days when there were no injections of vaccines, our forefathers managed this outbreak sufficiently. People died, yes. People were infected. People recovered. Some people did not get infected. But we know from records, mostly from oral records, and some were written down. There are some documentation in the Ifa literary corpus, which a lot of scholars are aware of. And we know that in those days there were things that they used, which includes what we now call fumigation.
Yes.
Which also included eru. They used ewe akoko.
Yes.
They used, which is the neoboldia. They used the laganeria tagiri. So manfeda be small ball with white prints on it. These are all plants.
Yes.
And science has been able to establish their antiviral activities. These days. So these were things that our forefathers used. We survived without interference of the reapers, the people we call the West.
Yes.
We survived without their interference.
Yeah.
Then. So this happened.
Yes.
What we have tried to do is let people bring back to the memory of people how our forefathers handled their problems in those days. And honestly, COVID has stripped naked the seeming giant of the world. The institutions, the foreigners that we all used to run to when we have headaches. When I say we know who we are talking about. When we have simple cough and we are sneezing, we run to their institutions.
Yes.
COVID has shown that nobody is actually, nobody is immune after all.
Yes,
and like you said, people are falling in their thousands in those places.
Yes.
Yes, it might be as a result of some factors, but don't let us get too comfortable. Our forefathers didn't get too comfortable, but we know that this virus is shy. We know that it has an impeding effect on the survival of the viral particle itself. And we know that the African continent, at least, the part of the Africa that we occupy is quite high in temperature. So it's very possible. I'm not saying it's only an inference, it's a guess. It's very possible that is the reason why, because like you said, during the NSAS, there was so much body-to-body contact. There was a lot of people hardly used their nose covers. Yes, and we were expecting that. Someone even said, one of the reapers, the rich ones, said that Africans will be falling dead on the streets, that there will be dead bodies on the streets. But thanks be to our God, we serve a living God in Africa. We are not dropping dead for one reason or the other. Very likely because of components of our climatic composition, temperature, humidity, maybe the topography, it could be anything. But somehow the virus is not affecting us. It is affecting us. It is affecting us. But don't let us get its effect is not as huge as you find it in the temperate regions.
Okay, please can we put our hands together for her? She has told us that Shango, ati Shango, atayela lao, atorumi lao.
Shokmono ni sa ki se Shango.
No. I'm driving at a point because the question I asked you was, are we being punished by the gods or God through COVID? So all those demigods, none of them are playing a part in the insurrection and indeed resurrection of COVID-19. So it is a virus that is very alive and must be curtailed. I'd like to move on to Dr. Elizabeth Adebola Campbell. Mommy is a psychiatrist with over 10 years of experience. I mean, I find that very interesting. 10 years of studying scoism. 10 years of fixing people, of testing, are you okay? Is this one? Is this two? Is this three? Say 4? No. Is it 5? Say 4? Is it 2? So she has been doing it for 10 years. So, Mommy, I have a question for you. In a communal society like Nigeria, yeah, what were the effects of the pandemic and lockdown on socio-cultural interactions? What were the effects of the pandemic and lockdown on socio-cultural interactions?
Okay. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
And in as much as we're talking about the effects on the community,
Yes.
we need to take an individual as a substituent of that community.
Yes.
If I may push it to every one of us, around February when we first recorded the index case in Nigeria, how did you take the news? You know, for COVID-19, as at the time when it first came, nobody knows so much about it. And we were depending on the expertise or the report or documentation from the West. And for many of us, our fear was our society does not look like the one that will help us to contain the virus. In the sense that we live together, we almost breathe into each other's nostrils. You go to our markets and it's jam-packed, you enter buses, you touch things everywhere. And one of the first things that happened to many people, and I think myself, is that we became very afraid. Fear of the unknown. You see an individual, a human being like yours, and you're afraid going near them. I remember sleep.
Wow.
We were so afraid of everybody to go to the hospital. Many were not going to the hospital.
Wow.
And we saw the ripple effect. Some died because of preventable illnesses.
Yes.
And, you know, it was almost like if you go to the hospital, they are going to diagnose you to have COVID. And there were a lot of misinformation.
Yes.
Some people will make mention of, okay, if you go to get tested, they infect you with the test. And a lot of things were coming on, the 5G news, the story moving around about the vaccine, about you. You know, a lot of things were going on. A lot of them were not true, but it brought about a lot of anxiety. And people lost means of livelihood, businesses was not, you know, the economic impact was there as well, which further impinged on the mental health of people. So as a community at large, the effect was not only us seeing people falling ill or having to be admitted because of COVID, but it spans through our day-to-day activities. Children were locked in the house. And many of them, even if you explain to them over and over why they need not to socialize with their mates, they just can't understand it because we are relational beings. I don't know whether I've been able to answer.
Yes, you have done justice to that question. Please, can we put our hands together for her, for Mrs. Campbell. Moving on now to Dr. Adedoyin Ogunyemi, who has 16 years work experience as a public health physician. Ma, would you say it is correct to say that the immunity of Africans to COVID-19 is higher than that of people in the Western world? Or are we Africans under reporting and under testing cases? I'll take it again. Is it true? Ṣé òótọ́ ni wípé, I'm saying this now for our Yoruba audience, is it true? Ṣé òótọ́ ni wípé àwa Africa, àwa èèyàn dúdú, a ní ọ̀dẹ́ẹ̀ṣí, or a ní àgbòjẹ̀dí tí ò kí ń jẹ́ kí COVID-19 wọlé sí wa lára? Tó fi jẹ́ pé àwọn tó wà ní US, àwọn tó wà labroad ló máa ń ní jù wá lọ, àbí a ò ṣe ìfọ̀rọ̀ báwo lè ṣe máa, you said it. It's very good, that's very good. So is it correct that the African has a thick skin against the COVID-19? Is it a fact, or is a conspiracy theory?
All right, thank you very much. I think this is a question that we have been trying to answer, and we are still in the process of answering. COVID-19 is not yet up to 1 year old in the world. It started in China. I think in December was when it was named. So by the day, a lot of research is still ongoing to actually demystify COVID. One study I saw recently tried to see reason why the effect of COVID in blacks or Africans is not the same like in the Western world. And what that study said was that the coronavirus is similar to other kind of viruses that we here are already used to.
Okay.
These are the things that our bodies have kind of been exposed to. Another one said that because we have a lot of tuberculosis on this side, and so all our children get the BCG vaccine, the vaccine for tuberculosis. So, which in some other countries where they have eradicated TB completely, they don't even give that vaccine frequently anymore. So, because we have taken it and we keep taking it, we have somewhat an immune population. Again, all of this is still under continuous scrutiny and research.
Yes.
Okay, so that is partly why the consequences may not be so bad here. But also, it is true that we are not testing enough. I mean, we have 200 million Nigerians plus, and if you look at the data, we've only scratched the surface when it comes to testing. It is believed that perhaps if we test more, we may find more. But the question is, if we find more, what's our plan? Especially when the person is not, symptomatic, as it were. It's not as if. So that's why many have not really gone out to say, let's just routinely test everybody. Rather, it's only those that are suspicious that we want to test. Be that as it may, COVID is real.
Yes.
In fact, in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, if we have looked at the numbers that is daily reported, we'll see that there's a gradual rise again. And in other countries, the US and so on, they have termed it the second wave. Ìtumọ̀ ẹ̀ ni pé ó dàbí pé tàkọ́kọ́ yẹn kọ́kọ́ lọlẹ̀, ṣùgbọ́n àwọn countries yẹn tún ti ní the second wave of it. And as long as COVID is somewhere, it is everywhere. Because ibi báyìí sí UK 6 hours ni, mo lè jẹ breakfast níbí, kí n jẹ dinner ní UK. So we are all interacting, we are all moving. It's a global village. And that is why I want to beg us, even as I'm watching us now, many of us are not wearing our masks properly. And I must speak out because I'm a public health physician. Wole wole, ṣàrántí àwọn wole wole. Ó ń gún mi lára bí mo ṣe ń rí pé our mask wa dáadáa. Our mask should cover
even
our
the MC is not
nose.
wearing his mask. I don't know.
That's why I am shifting.
That's why you had to shift. The MC is not wearing his mask.
So I know that it's not as bad here, but ento kan lo mo. So we have to all be careful. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please, can you put your hands together for her? Okay, I'd like to move on quickly now back to Mrs. Christiana. Are there lessons? I'd like you to just wrap it up for us. Now, I have 2 questions for you, so I hope that you can help us wrap it up. Are there lessons to be learned from our collective experience, right, in the use of medical methods in treating ailments? Then, number 2, historically, has there been anything like this outbreak in the African society that has been treated successfully through tradomedical measures? Did it influence your approach in treating COVID-19?
Thank you very much, MC.
Yes.
Yes, historically there have been outbreaks. I mentioned it earlier, about the Shokwana outbreak. That was way in the past. There was another outbreak documented in the Ifa literary corpus, where those who are, very vast in the Ifa literature would be able to take us back to when Orunmila, told some of his followers not to attend burials, not to go out, that they should stay indoors, which is pretty much like the lockdown that we have. That we should avoid crowded areas, just as we are being warned now. And then some of them that went ahead to attend burials of those that died from that mystical disease at that time came back sick to Orunmila, and then he tried to help some of them, he lost some of them. That was how the story was documented in Ifa, and then we learned about the Shokpono, which was as a result of, it is believed that that particular deity uses Shokpono to punish people who are dirty, whose environments are not clean. Pretty much like what our public health officer has just said. About, our actions would always have repercussions. Whatever we do would always have repercussions. Yes, this virus originated from China.
Yes.
They have inferred all sorts of possibility of its origin. Some believe that it's actually a biological weapon. Some believe that it's from wild bats, all sorts of stories. But the point is, it is here now. Our actions will determine whether it will be mitigated or if it will be stopped completely, pretty much like what our ancestors did. In those days, anyone that was infected was asked to isolate. Pretty much like what they are doing now, which is the proper thing.
Yes.
So when someone is already exhibiting the symptoms, or better still, if science is able to help us establish, laboratory investigation is able to help us establish that this person is already carrying the virus, the person is to be isolated, and those who don't have the virus or who have been exposed to that person, even in traditional setting, what we do is we encourage them to also self-isolate, pretty much like, there is really no difference between what mainstream medicine will recommend and what traditional healing system will recommend. The only difference is in the issue of, vaccine, which is a topic that I really don't like to discuss because it's really, I find it political, it's a kind of political economics where someone is trying to rip off the calamity of mankind and all of that, where a particular region cannot come up with a solution. You are going to make a nonsense of it, but once a certain region comes up with a solution, then yes, it goes because it is coming from that place. So, what we need to do as Africans is to look inwards.
Yes.
That's the way forward. We need to look inwards. And whether we like it or not, this thing has visited us before. We have records. We have evidence. We have the Shokpono. We have records from, the Ifa literary corpus. There was the influenza of 1914 as well.
Yes.
So, we have all of this information, and we were not wiped out as a people. African continent was not wiped out. There was a way we survived. And we have these evidences from our studies, from our investigations, that people used certain things. I've always been on radio, teaching people about these things that they can use, the foods that they can use. People should use things like, ginger, turmeric, the spring onions. And we have even administered these things clinically for people who have exhibited mild symptoms of COVID, which is quite similar to what we would see in maybe malaria or something like that. And these were ways that our forefathers took care of it.
Yeah.
They used symptomatic presentations to infer if, what they were using was effective or not. And the thing is, because of the way we are, because of the way we live, people live very, we live in a communal society where you can hardly claim your space to yourself.
Yes, so
I'm missing Rawani.
Yes, so.
We rub bodies together and all of that. Somehow, maybe the hardship of, the African continent, maybe our atmosphere, maybe the foods that we eat are sort of conferred, and of course with the climatic conditions I mentioned earlier, are sort of conferred some protection. But we shouldn't get carried away because of that. Pretty much like my colleague here said, let us follow all of those protocols that have been laid down: wear your nose mask, disinfect your space, clean your surfaces, disinfect your hands with warm water. Because I always tell people that people will say water and soap. No, it's not just ordinary water. Warm water with soap. Where you cannot have access to soap and warm water, use your hand sanitizer. What our ancestors used was eru at yomi gbigbo no mafin forward, because eru has, the same characteristic with soap, with the
soap,
lye in soap. Yeah, so one muffin forward, it also disinfects. The basic thing is you are using that warm water and you are drinking a lot of these herbs that are readily available. I think one of the other reasons why we are not dropping dead as predicted by Westerners is because of a lot of the things that we eat. Hardly would you find any household taking agbo.
Yes, so.
Agbo iba.
Mama Dione.
One borimo. They will take peppers. We eat a lot of pepper, and you would even find that in our philosophical sayings where they will say "Emiti ojata."
Yes.
Yes. So you would find that our lifestyle pretty much doesn't accommodate atamelo loyinbonje.
Yes, sir.
Eat melo lower environment one.
Right.
And they take a lot of all of these GMOs, inorganic stuff.
Intakes.
We eat fresh from our garden, so it sort of confers a lot of protection on us. Otishewari, it is not new. COVID is the virus itself is model. It's new. COVID but virus. Don't jari. Not just like we are.
Thank you so much, Miss. Please, can we put our hands together for Mrs. Christiana? I like the flow of thought. And how she's able to, enlighten us on the subject matter. I'd like to move on now, conclusively, before we take questions from you, our audience that are with us, while they're from Mrs. Campbell, Dr. Mrs. Campbell, ma. So, ma, the social stigma, right? The social stigma of being a former COVID-19 patient has reshaped social ties. How can we reduce the stigma associated with the virus? That's one question. And then, conclusively from you now, in the event that COVID-19 has come to stay, God forbid, how can we prepare ourselves as science-inclined individuals in service of social order to maintain and boost our mental health during isolation? I'll take it again. The social stigma of being a former COVID-19 patient has reshaped social ties. How can we reduce the stigmas associated with the virus? Secondly, and conclusively, in the event that COVID-19 has come to stay, how can we prepare ourselves in service of social order to maintain and boost our mental health during isolation? Did you get the question, ma'am?
I do.
Okay.
Stigma is a major issue in mental health. And apart from COVID, so like we know is novel, and the reason why people stigmatize COVID is because of the rate of infectivity and the uncertainty on the pathway that the person who's had the infection would go. We are aware that for those who contact COVID, up to 80% of them survive. And if we look at the figures...
up to 80% of them survive.
If we look at the figures that we have in Nigeria, I would say it's more than that. But the fear now is for those who now have COVID, who do not survive, because it's fatal in a small fraction of people. And in our environment, because of, it started with the fact that there is a lot of misconception.
Yes.
There is a lot of fears and anxiety.
Misinformation.
Yes. Concerning COVID. And when we talk of stigma is not only the way I view you, at times there's what we call self-stigma. Even for those who've had the infection and have been well treated. Many of them still view themselves as not being wanted in the society just because of some of all these things. But one thing we need to understand is COVID is not a death sentence. And as many who are passing one challenge or the other, you need your self-will a lot. And to determine this time, you're going to survive it. There are a lot of jingles there in the environment that is helping. I've listened to one that said something like, have you not had this person had COVID and they didn't want to go near such person. But someone else said, are you aware that even you've not had COVID? Because in this period that COVID was really at the peak of it, many of us have symptoms, whether it is real or apparent. You would at some point start feeling as if, hey, hope it's not COVID I had. You will check your temperature. But the truth is, many would have had COVID without showing symptoms. So what we need to do for these individuals is to help them. If you've ever passed through the kind of situation they are going through, because you're not sure of the outcome. Though I said it's about 80% of cases that, they come out through without any sequelae. But to that family that the person died is 100%. So for anybody who has been diagnosed, you will have series of symptoms apart from the COVID itself. You then have sleepless nights, anxiety, some become depressed, and then the stigma that other post towards them. So we just need to help them and understand that COVID is believed that the period of infectivity is within the first 14 days. Some say 10 to 14 days. Afterwards, whether you are treated or not, if you self-isolate and you do not transmit it to others, it's believed that you do not have the capacity to transmit it again. So we just need to help people because there are lots of things that we are contending with. Like I will tell some people, I'm struggling with so many things. Please don't add this to my table. And the second question.
Okay, the second question, ma'am. Sorry, 1 second. The second question says, in the event that COVID-19 has come to stay, how can we prepare ourselves in service of social order to maintain and boost our mental health during isolation?
Okay, thank you. Now we know that there is a new normal. There is a new normal. Like now, the way we're seated, if it was before, would have had maybe twice the capacity of people we have in here. Now you want to sit, you maintain some distance. For some of us, if I'm getting out of my house and I'm not masked, I find it a bit, odd and uncomfortable, especially when I'm going into where people are. So one thing we need to know is that we need to embrace this new norm. There is hardly anything we can do to change the situation other than, like she said, following through the protocol. And over time, it's a virus. If it stays there without anybody touching it, it has a lifespan. Before you know it, it dies off. But if we do not maintain that, we will not be able to bring an end to it. So in as much as COVID is around, we just need to understand that there are some things you cannot change, no matter what. If it's sunny outside now and you're like, oh, and I want to go out, if you like, talk and talk and talk and talk from morning till night, it's not going to take it away. So you now look for ways to adapt. So I'm going out. If it's too sunny, maybe I'll use an umbrella. Now that COVID is there, I would work on my social network. I saw something about Thanksgiving and I was pretty happy about it. And now many of us attend conferences or meetings in the comfort of our rooms. Some of the things we never thought would be possible. Our children are being taught online. They go to school, they spend some hours. Now we just need to embrace the new norm. We know that something similar to this has happened before. We've seen pictures of people at the stadium wearing masks. And up until last year, if I'd ever been told I would ever have to wear a mask outside of the theater or performing some procedures in the hospital, I would never believe. So to help our mental health, to boost our mental health, you just need to learn to cope. And there are different ways of coping. There is the adaptive and there is the maladaptive. The adaptive is things like problem solving. I've given an example. You want to go out, it's raining or it's sunny, and if you like, wish it and do whatever, it won't take it off. But you need to see how you can adapt into it. That's problem solving, getting an umbrella, getting your raincoat. But for some people, you now overindulge in some activities that can further affect your health, like drinking, smoking, and some other things because you are a bit down, you just want to lift your spirits, but at the end of the day, it's going to have a counter effect on you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, please, can we put our hands together for Ikeja on Latewo? Moving on now to Dr. Adedoyima. I have two final conclusive questions here for you, which I believe is key because this is, I think it was during the Ebola outbreak and Nigerians were pouring salt inside hot water. Some people were, all manner of things were, going on at the time just to curb and Nigerians don't want to hear virus because the Nigerian man doesn't want to hear anything want to take my life. We don't like the country like that, but we don't want to die quick too. But what are the common misconceptions that informed unsafe health practices that may have affected the spread and mismanagement of COVID-19? I'll take it again. What are the common misconceptions? Is it from the media? Is it from mouth to mouth that informed unsafe health practices that may have affected the spread and mismanagement of COVID-19? And then there is so much said about the second wave of the COVID-19 virus. What does the second wave of this virus mean, and how can we protect ourselves, according to your level of experience, ma'am?
Looks like you're giving me all the hard questions.
No, this is like
misconceptions. There were a lot.
a lot of them,
I think we've moved past
especially on WhatsApp.
Yes, we've moved.
Quickly share.
We've moved past a lot of it over time. But in fact, the reason why I don't like to discuss or give examples of the misconceptions is that people will now go and try it.
And try the misconception.
The misconception. So I don't like to elaborate on it.
The misconception.
But the idea is that people think that the virus is alive and, the fact that it goes through the respiratory tract. Therefore, these are issues that are debatable, but therefore thinking that a lot of inhalation may kill the virus, or a lot of, just taking something this or that, I don't want to go deep.
Okay, you don't want to go deep into.
But it's to say that some of these things we are doing or did may not be harmful, but may not also be may not be helpful. So it's neither here
or there
nor there. So if it gives you some psychological feeling of protection, go ahead. But doing dangerous things that that cannot take away the virus, that is when it becomes a problem. For instance, you've heard that chloroquine something, and because of that, you place yourself on chloroquine every week.
Overdose of.
These are very dangerous times. Or you just place yourself on antibiotics consistently. Please, whatever drug you use must be there must be a medication for
medical,
it. Yes,
prescription.
A prescription. Don't self-medicate. That's the point I want to say. So, and so on and so forth. Some other ones about believing that COVID, therefore, is the end of the world and this or that. Well, if you continue living, you shall eventually realize that
it's not the
maybe
end
it's
of
not.
Maybe not.
So, what is also wrong that we sometimes think is that is a scam. So there's the belief in the marketplace. And when I say marketplace, everywhere we go to, that it was something perhaps government or somebody is selling to us so that, they will restrict us in some way and all of that. So there is COVID-19. It actually exists. That is not to say that it cannot be politicized and so on and so forth, but it doesn't take away the fact that it does.
So, COVID
Scam.
Conscious scam.
It's not a scam. People have talked about the figures and so on and so forth. That's a different case. But truly there is COVID.
COVID-19.
So I would like to leave that question there to say that take the necessary precaution as has been highlighted already.
And then let's see as it goes.
Let's see as it goes. Your second question was?
What are the common misconceptions? I think you've done with it.
The
yes. Second wave, which you said you don't want to get into.
No.
Okay.
That wasn't the one.
There's so much. I said there's so much said about the second wave of the COVID-19 disease. What does a second wave of this virus mean, and how can we protect ourselves?
Okay. So generally, again, it is believed that for every pandemic or epidemic, that there's a life cycle for it, or a curve for it, where it initially starts, it gets to the peak, it infects everybody it can infect who is susceptible, and then there's a gradual decline, and then it disappears. How long it stays at that peak, we can't tell. It varies from place to place. So talking about a second wave is more or less saying that it has kind of calmed down, but then we are seeing it rise again. And the reason that is being said is they're following the curve of charting, how people present. The tests they do, people were positive, it was coming down. And in many of those other countries I mentioned when I spoke earlier, we did see that the numbers went up again. And that is what is informing the fact that perhaps that's the second wave of COVID. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Because to add to what you said, France has been on lockdown since, I think, the beginning of this month. The UK has also been on lockdown as well. But Nigeria, because of our economy, you can't even lock a Nigerian down. You can't lock a Nigerian down. I know many of us have questions for our panelists. Okay, we have questions. Sound, please. I'll need a spare mic, and then I'll do it myself, not to worry. But before we go into that proper, we have a dignitary of the state government here, Honorable Commissioner for Wealth Creation and Employment, Mrs. Yetunde Arobieke. Hey, Arobieke, is that correct? Arobieke, Emma Binu, Mopeleko, Emma Binu, I did that. Mo ti de lari, Emma Binu. Mrs. Yetunde Arobieke, Lagos State Ministry of Wealth Creation and Employment, and the Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Bola Dale, right? Bola Dale, this is not well written. Bola Dale, Mrs. Bola Dale Dapo Thomas, ably represented by Mrs. Ogun Bayode Olukemi. Please, can we put our hands together for her? Thank you so much, ma. Please send my personal regards to His Excellency, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Tell him I said hello. Moving forward, where's my mic? Where's my other mic for the question? Okay, thank you very much. Please, can I see those hands? Okay, so we'll start from Baba. Baba, go ahead, sir.
I salute everybody.
Yes, sir.
And I greet the organizers of this occasion. Well, it's not a question as such. But even though they say coronavirus is a novel disease.
Yes, sir.
We've been having this type of diseases in our own atmosphere. Madame rightly mentioned Obaluaye. Now, we in Yoruba, we call it Olode. Or Igbono. And in English, we have various species. We have chickenpox. We have monkeypox. And we have
yes.
The most serious one is the one that when it affects people and they come around, you will see the marks.
Yes, impact
all over them.
And effect on them.
But we do not discriminate against them because of that. But in the case of this virus, we don't even know while we were locked in, we were just told you shouldn't go out. And for 1 week, 2 weeks, we were on lockdown. Not that they brought anything to us.
Baba, sorry, do you have a question, sir?
No, not question.
Okay.
That's why I said not question
Observation.
answer, but explanation.
Explanation?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Now, in fact, I've not seen anybody, like I mentioned, smallpox.
Yes.
You could see the survivors with these marks all over. But we don't discriminate against them. In this case, I have never seen any of the survivors of this corona.
COVID-19.
I've just been hearing. They went to isolation centers.
And they are nowhere to be found.
Where are they?
Yes. Where are they?
We know that the symptom, they
where are
say
they?
loss of sense of smelling.
Yes.
And loss of smelling. And of course, there are two major something. Okay. But the thing is, if we know the people,
yes,
the isolation center, this thing, somebody who goes to Aro,
yes,
will see the issue of
please,
madness.
can we put our hands together for Baba?
You
please,
will see
please.
madness. If
please,
you go to,
please, can we put our hands together for Baba?
If you go to IDH, I've been to IDH.
Yes.
Because of not smallpox, but
yes,
chickenpox.
Wow.
Now I came out like all other people.
Yes.
But this particular one, we are just hearing virus, stay at home.
Keep clapping for Baba.
You go to Igbo. You go to Igbo.
Yes.
They said they
please
closed
keep
down.
Clapping.
They closed down markets.
Organizers.
They closed down markets.
Yes.
The food sellers will
yes,
come one day.
Yes.
Other ones will come.
All of it.
But
people are not clapping for Baba.
But suddenly, everybody becomes food seller.
Baba, Shegon.
So I mean,
thank you very much. So please, can we put our hands together?
We don't. This particular issue.
Yes.
Like I said, I've never seen any survivor.
Yes.
Of this.
Yes.
And our own treatment.
Yes.
That's local, like Madam mentioned.
Oh.
That's traditional religion.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Baba. Baba, make sure that Baba, you have newspaper here.
Yeah.
There's a newspaper.
Yeah, there is a.
Please put your hands together. Baba has a paper from 20. Oh, it's a recent newspaper. Okay, Baba, you just want to see a COVID-19 survivor.
It applies to this virus.
Okay.
This is a lamentation.
A lamentation.
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 By the former vice chairman.
Wow.
Vice chancellor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Baba. Thank you, sir. Of OAU.
The isolation centers.
Oh.
Whereby,
Baba, you people are not clapping, no. This is a professor. This is a professorial delivery. Baba, please sit. Baba, please sit. Baba, Ejoko. Thank you. Baba, please put your hands together for Baba for me. Questions. Do you have questions? Yes, please.
My question goes to my doctor. I can call you the doctor.
Yes.
The clinical herbalist. Dr. Christiana Olakpade Ojo. Ma, can you please use today to teach us some of the concoctions we can use to boost our immunity, as you used to teach them on radio, the Fresh FM Ibadan?
Okay, did you get the question, ma?
I did.
Okay, you did.
Totally. Okay, I'll just use the opportunity to just itemize two different concoctions that I normally put out on radio. The first one I think I mentioned slightly earlier, which is the ginger, turmeric, spring onion blend with honey lime mix. The honey lime is made from freshly juiced lime with equal volume of honey. If you don't have any issues with sugar, like maybe you're not dealing with JD, or maybe you don't have diabetes, you can use sugarcane honey or the molasses. But if you are dealing with that, you should use oyingongidi to mix the equal amount of lime. So you blend your ginger, turmeric, spring onion, and garlic. There are 4 items.
ginger, turmeric, garlic, spring onions. You blend it together and make a mixture of it with honey lime. And then you can just take about, for adults, about 6 tablespoons morning, afternoon, night. And for children, about 2 tablespoons. But for younger children, like toddlers above a year, 1 teaspoon is fine, morning, afternoon, night. It's very harmless, it's very safe, it's something that everyone takes. And ginger is known to have anti-inflammatory and anti-sickling properties, so, and as well as garlic. It has antimicrobial properties. We have seen it help people get better from some of these symptoms. The second tonic is the agboiba that we popularly call agboiba, but it's just a regular green tea that is made from mango leaves, cashew leaves, mango, cashew, morinda. Morinda is oruwo, not moringa. Morinda. Then we have the guava, we have the lemongrass, and we have the lime. We also have what we call our stonia, Ikeja, storewood, Ikeja. It's not as common as the mango or cashew leaves. Ikeja, AHUN, ní Yorùbá, storewood, Alstonia bonae. And then you also had your igi fruit, ewe fruit, afara.
I like mommy, she's already writing it. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Almond plant, the leaf of it. In fact, it has been established that it has very high anti-sickling properties. So you just boil these things together, except the lemongrass and the lime. You boil the other leaves together. Tobati Nijako hold you, because once Tobati hold you, a lot of its vitamins would have, escaped. So you boil it, Tobati hold mafi lemongrass, ati lime, le gesimerin. Tebari osan wewe, le lo lemon. Tebari lemon, le lo osan ti ko pon. Don't remove the peel, because you need the essential oils from the peel. So Tobati hold lema gesino etemade. So anybody can take that, morning, afternoon, night. Adult about 300 to 350 mils. Children about 200 mils. Toddlers about 5 tablespoons of that. And take it very hot, very, very hot. You can replace your beverages, your regular beverages, and the rest of it. So that's it.
Thank you so much, ma. Please, can we put our hands together for her? I'd like to... What we want to do now is to get out all of the questions. We want to get out all of the questions because we're running with time. We want to get out all of the questions. So, sir, how many questions do you have? Let's say 2 to 3. You have 2 to 3 questions? Okay. Direct questions. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, everyone. My name is Moses Abolade. I work with Peace Education Practice Network. My question goes to, the first one is as regards nose mask. I can't remember her name now. She, as regards, Dr. Adedoyin.
Yes.
You talk about the protocol and looking at what we are doing presently. I have reservations for some of those things as regards, especially for asthmatic patients. Now, asthmatic patients and nose masks, for me, I know I have a bit of it because my sister had it and she was having issues with it. And
wait, sorry, you have a bit of what?
No, like I'm just historically.
Okay, I wanted to shift because let me be sure.
Stigmatization is also another thing I'm coming to. So come close.
I'm not stigmatizing you. I just want to be sure.
Now, the question is, how do we manage people with such that couldn't cope with nose masking, if there is a word like that, and how do we? Because when I talk at times, I tell people, no, can you ask people first? What is their condition? Because many people are just forcefully doing it, and many people, when you say I am a social patient, or there are people that are like that. How do we help and manage such situation, especially in institutions, because they will not allow you to enter some places even when you tell them.
Okay.
So that's one. Two,
one.
the issue of unemployment and misplaced power relation in homes. During the COVID, how do we tend to, during the COVID, we know that several things happened. People lost their jobs. People couldn't manage their homes. Some men became women.
Some men became women?
No. Not in the, not like that.
Okay.
But I mean,
please.
they couldn't take care of their homes like they used to be. So how do we manage their? This is for the psychologist now.
Dr. Campbell now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
how
that your first question is for Dr. Adedoyin.
Yes.
Okay.
So for how do we manage their mental states now, and how do we look at getting them back to their normal state? If there's any, most of them might not get a job between now and let's say 3 months. Okay. How would they be still? How would they still be stable? Okay. To undo how they deal with their wives at home? I'm talking to men now.
How they deal with their wives
at home.
The third question.
So the last one is as regards traditional health. To you, ma,
Mrs.
because I really like your analysis and going back to history and all that. But I did comparative religious studies, and I have been having issues with we promoting these things, especially therapeutic arrangement and all that. I mean, traditional medicine. I have been finding issues with we not being on the same page, kind of, with westernized medicine. And with what you are doing just now, like you are giving prescriptions and dosage and all that, I don't know if there are books you've written or there are other channels, because we need to compete on the same level. And for the fact that you are giving fat, make it very sound. Made it very solid. Yes. And I don't know if there are other channels. Thank God for this kind of meeting. If not, I will not have seen, aside from the one I saw from the Oni of Ife.
Oni, yes.
That was the only one I saw practically giving such. And I don't know how you can do more of this, promote it, document it. I don't know if you have a book, books on it already. How we can promote this better than what we have to compete favorably with anybody in the world. Because why they are rejecting some of the things they are rejecting is not because those people we know that there is issue of superiority. But if we to raise our scale in every way, I'm sure that we go somewhere. So those are the questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. The first question was for you, Dr. Adedoyin, and then the next one was for you, Dr. Campbell, and then, of course, my Excellency, Mrs. Christiana. So, who would like to go first? Yes. No, we just have one more question now. We're already running way behind schedule. So,
okay, thank you for the question. Yes, I agree that, for instance, very little children, you shouldn't wear a mask for them. You know, they can't even say they are struggling. And therefore it can actually impede their breathing. Perhaps somebody who is having an asthmatic attack, too. Masks may affect the breathing. However, there are different kinds of masks. And so what you use to make a mask is important. Some are more breathable than others. Okay? This I'm wearing now is the hospital mask, which they are now selling massively everywhere. It's quite breathable. But if it's a cloth mask, it depends on what it is made from. It may tell if you can breathe well through it or not. Please make sure you get one that is comfortable for you. But this is what I want to say. I will restrict my own movement if I'm asthmatic in terms of public places. For if I don't have to go, I won't go, so that I'm not forced to just be in a mask. Now everything is back to normal. As I'm speaking now, we have a reception, wedding, and all sorts of engagement. So you have to know yourself. If you already have background medical illnesses, say hello, leave the place, and go back home where you are safe. So again, please don't use an excuse when there is none. But when there's a true medical reason for not, please avoid such places as much as possible. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you.
My question has to do with how to manage people's mental state. possibly because they've lost their jobs or a different role play in the home. Looking at it, there is no one-way solution to this. But the very first thing is, as an individual, you need to understand you are not alone. Apart from COVID, before COVID came in, people have been losing their jobs. The environment in Nigeria, there's been economic problem. Even when you have a job now, I'm sure many of us, those who are salary earners, your salary hasn't increased. But the purchasing power has changed because things have gone, prices have skyrocketed in the market. So the very first thing you need to understand is you are not alone. It will help you to be able to embrace the situation and then look at how to solve it. And for those who have lost jobs or lost their means of livelihood, we need to look at things like their self-esteem. How are they taking it? How are they taking it? Depending, some when they have problems, you don't even say it. If you know you are the type that have issues, you might need to work on your self-esteem. You might need to talk to people. I've made mention of coping strategies. One of it is problem solving. You've lost your job now. Do you then sit at home doing nothing? It might be a good time to start looking for other jobs. Jobs are not really there. But that might be another opportunity for you. About a week ago, we had a guest in my home. Husband and wife were teachers. During the period of lockdown, they had nothing. The wife said the wife has some skills in baking, making donuts. But she started making these plantain chips and it's giving them extra income. So that's a problem-solving strategy. There is a problem. We have to be begging for people to give us money. Now I have a skill. Can I utilize my skill to bring in another thing while I wait on this job or while I expect this other job? And then there are other things you might need to rely on. The social network. Talk out. You might be surprised that somebody will be able to provide solution because they have that solution ready because you were able to voice out. So there is no one solution, like I said. But for such an individual, even in the home, you might need to sit down and discuss. Discuss is part of trying to see how you can provide solution. What do we do? If we used to eat 3 square meals, do we cut it to 2 to be able to manage our costs? You just need to look in between that and to be able to provide a solution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma. Please, can we put our hands together for her? Ma, before she takes her own question, please, if you have any question, document it on paper and then give my senior special assistant on logistics at the back. Please, you can come forward. That's my SSA on logistics. Just give to him any question whatsoever. Please, just give it to him. Document it because we're running behind schedule. Over to you, ma.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let me take it from where the gentleman said that there are channels where we try to reach out to people so that they can know about what we are doing. I think that even before COVID, I've always been on radio, but I reside in Ibadan. So my scope is within Oyo State, really. But beyond that, because we now know that social media makes you... Oh, sorry. Okay. I reside in Ibadan, so Oyo State is sort of my scope. But beyond that, we know that social media gives you a global reach. And I promise you, my social media pages have always buzzed with, questions and information exchange and all of that. I always put things out there. That is on a personal note. And yes, incidentally, I'm a second-generation practitioner, which means that I inherited the practice from my parents. My dad of blessed memory, Professor Ebenezer Olakpade, founded our organization that has been preparing, administering, and documenting the effect or none of herbal recipes. And we have quite a lot of documented administration of herbal recipes, in our records that are there for institutions or researchers that would like to gather data. We're always working with maybe postgraduate students and, of course, some universities around there that reach out to us. But the honest truth is this. We live in a society where I would have loved to share a video that I came across this morning that really broke my heart again and reminded me of my father's life and his efforts and all of that. We have a lot of genuine potentials within the African continent that gets muffled, mitigated, and scuffled by fellow Africans. Without making reference to my own father, because that would sound really personal, I remember the story of Abalaka, and I'm sure the name Abalaka rings bell to almost everyone here. Now, the video I saw this morning was about how the Johnson's brothers developed vaccines. And it was told that it was an African slave that gave them information on how Africans inoculated themselves against infections by introducing the fluid, body fluid, which is a traditional healing practice that we know about. When they introduce the body fluid, some Africans were not like that, except in a situation pretty much because they also do a lot of, documentation and observation. So what they do is inoculate healthy people with body fluids of sick people. And this slave man told them how they dealt with pandemics in Africa, and that inspired the development of vaccines by the Johnson's brother, which has translated into a multi-billion-dollar industry today, and no credit was ever given to this African slave. Now, apart from no credit given to the African slave, no credit was even given to the African continent, and pretty much that is what we keep getting till today. When COVID started, I remember, I'm sure all of us heard about Madagascar's efforts and how that effort was trampled, not just by WHO, but fellow African scholars that came up to say, oh, what protocols did they follow? What is their data? What is their evidence and all of that? One thing that science fails to recognize is that there is a wide difference between traditional laboratory, in quotes, and scientific laboratories. Traditional laboratories are our lifestyles. It is in our daily lives, our kitchens, our living rooms. That is where we observe and document our experiences. That is what develops our culture. That is what tells who we are. So when you see an African man, it is because he is an African man, not because he has used voodoo. We see it in the villages. We see village people living up to 100. And yet we see city men and women dying in their 40s and 50s. Something is definitely wrong with us. We are not making use of data the way we should be making use of it. And there was something I inferred. Imported solutions will never solve our local problems. Until we start looking inwards, we are going to remain slaves to the Oyibo man. Until we start looking inwards and start thinking of how we can solve our problems with local inexpensive solutions. Until we stop looking down on that fellow African man who is making a suggestion. I looked at Abalaka's inference, for instance. He claimed, it was a claim. That is the beauty of research. Your result does not have to be positive. It is research. Let's even support ourselves first. For instance, when I talk about the use of ginger turmeric, people will go like, oh, what's the dosage? Is this safe? Is this? And I'm like, are you okay? It's like you telling me. That is why the unlettered professors, that's what I call them, the people we call illiterates, they are not illiterates. They know more than we do. And I relate with them very well. I respect them because I know that I have a lot to gain from them. That's the way my father taught me. And that is why I'm able to develop my knowledge base, because I relate well and respectfully with them. They know a lot. There is so much information to harness from those people. And then we go to them and we say, oh, Ewe Pandoro is toxic. Ewe Oruwa is toxic. Eso Oroko is toxic. They will look at you like you are mad. Because it's like me coming to you to tell you tomato is toxic. I was at a presentation yesterday and I asked those students, I said, if I told you onion was toxic, what would you say? The lady said she would think maybe I'm making a mistake. That is exactly how they look at us. When we tell them that herbs are toxic. Because these are things they eat every day. Àwọn nǹkan táwọn ń pè ní koríko tá ń ro dànù. Àwọn ẹ̀fọ́ gànà, àwọn yánrin, àwọn ìdàndàn táwọn ń ro dànù. Òun làwọn fi ń ro ẹ̀fọ́ jẹ, òun lẹ̀mí wọ́n ṣe ń gùn tí wọ́n fi fertilizer gbìn. I went to the market one day, I was like, Mama elo ibomu yo ni kini eje ko ra yin se eyan alakowe. Àìsàn alákọ̀wé mọ̀ ń kòró. These are some of the misconceptions that emerge because of the arrogance of the academia. They are not even ready to listen to what we have to say because we are not listening to them. We need to have a nexus between the town and the gown. And until that happens, it's going to be very difficult. Contrary to what you said, there is a lot of documentation. There may be oral. There may be mental documentation, and I put it to you, documentation is not only written. That's why we have a lot of recitations, oratory and poems in the African culture. That is how we push forward our own literature. So they are reminding themselves of the ingredients of their mixtures. They don't need to pick a paper.
Yes.
They simply recite it. It's as simple as that. We need to start appreciating our African technologies and culture and knowledge system. And we ourselves should stop being the ones throwing what we have out of the window. If someone comes up and says, I think Ikeja can help COVID, we shouldn't go like Kilomo, get out. We should try and embrace every knowledge. My people die for lack of knowledge.
My brother, I've answered your question. Are you ready for the exam now? Go and succeed. Thank you very much. Please, you can have your seat, man. Please, can we put our hands together for our first panelist? In no particular order, we had Dr. Adedoyin Ogunyemi, who is a public health physician, and we had Mrs. Christiana Olakpade, who is a clinical herbalist, and then, of course, we had Dr. Campbell, who is a psychiatrist. So what we're seeing is the do-it-yourself approach to hand sanitizer and what has been called alcohol spray. Hand sanitizers and, of course, alcohol spray. So inside of the program that is with you, a program to allow you, there's a space for notes where you can take notes of what is going on so that you can go and do it yourself in your house and, of course, market it. And I'm sure we all know that hand sanitizer are going to one thing at face masks. So this is one of the benefits of attending a Taking All Men Brother event. Mommy, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Franca Anedum, and by the grace of God, I'm going to take us through the process of producing hand sanitizer and alcohol spray. Please, I want you to watch very keenly because it's very, very simple. Just like you close your eyes and open it. But if you are not watchful, you may not get it. So I want us to watch very attentively so that we can get it. Thank you. So in making the hand sanitizer, we need chemicals like the natrosol. We need chemical like ethanol, IPA, tea. When I mean tea, it's not just tea, TEA. Then we need fragrance and glycerin. How many items have I mentioned? So, this is IPA, isoprosine alcohol. This is fragrance. Fragrance, that is perfume. We call it fragrance because it has not been processed. By the time it is processed, it will be called perfume. So now it is fragrance. This is glycerin. Glycerin will make the alcohol not to be harsh on your body, or your fingers, or your hands when you use them. And this is tea. The work of the tea is to make it form, to be like a gel. This is methanol, or you call it ethanol. Ethanol is almost as same thing as the IPA. They are all undiluted and unprocessed alcohol base. And we know that in For you to have effective hand sanitizer that kills germ without water, it must have 70% of alcohol content. So that is why I'm mixing the two most strongest alcohol base to produce our hand sanitizer and the alcohol spray. Then in the alcohol spray preparation, we need just 3 things. Number 1 is the IPA. Number 2 is the ethanol. And then number 3 is your fragrance. I think you get me now. So we move on to the practical session. Remember, we are doing the hand sanitizer first. Then I want to tell us the process. In producing hand sanitizer, there is a particular chemical you are going to soak for at least 24 hours. And that is on natrozole. And because we are not going to be here for 24 hours, that's why I have come with an already soaked product of it. That is the natrozole. I have soaked the one we are going to use for this practical. So, but remember, when preparing your own, you have to soak for 24 hours. So this is a measurement cup. In all what we are doing, there are measurements to what we are doing. For what we are doing today, I have measured and soaked the natrozole with 1 liter of water. Remember I said our sanitizer must have 70% alcohol content to be able to be effective and be able to kill germs without water. So this is an already soaked natrozole with 1 liter of water. And then we are going to be using 2 liters of ethanol and 1 liter of, who can tell me the name of this one? I have mentioned it several times. IPA, I'm a teacher also, if you're not responding. So, I'm going to be using 2 liters of ethanol and 1 liter of, good. This is 75 cl. That is half liter. So I'm going to be, when I pour 2, it means 1 liter. So this is the tea. What did I say that this one does? Thank you. This is the fragrance. The fragrance, there's no particular one to be used. It depends on your choice. But I have decided to use the fragrance called Lexus. So that's my own choice.
Kukuma, just like all our mothers here, they're paying.
And this is glycerin. What did I say that glycerin does to the product? Okay. To prevent your skin from being chaffy.
Chaffy. Glycerin. Okay, it's very popular.
I'm looking at the gauge. I'm looking at the calibration. I am supposed to use 30 mils to this product. So that is one. Our hand sanitizer is ready. Our hand sanitizer is ready. Can we clap for ourselves?
Can we put our hands together? Wow. This is amazing. Do we have questions? Quick. In case you miss any step in the production process. Okay, mommy, quick.
Although the measurement for ethanol,
like I said, I mentioned the measurement, maybe you didn't hear, or I did not mention all of them. For the fragrance, this is 30 mils, and I used 15 mils. The remaining 15 mils for the alcohol spray. And then the glycerin was 50, I used 30. And then I said the natrozole, I have soaked it with a liter of water. And then the quantity of the natrozole I soaked was 25 grams.
So, can you take that again?
The quantity of natrozole I soaked with a liter of water was 25 grams. And I used 15 mils of fragrance, then 30 mils of glycerin, 2 liters of ethanol, and a liter of IPA. The tea is 20 mil, and I used everything.
Okay, mommy, so that's all, Abi, for the...
No, alcohol spray.
Okay, now this is hand sanitizer. Okay, we're going into alcohol spray now. Okay, go ahead, ma.
Like I told us, alcohol spray is just made of 3 chemicals. Number 1 is the IPA. Then number 2 is what is this one's name? Ethanol, thank you.
Ethanol.
So, I'm going, and your fragrance. So 3 things you need. Some people don't even use fragrance for alcohol spray. But I use. It's about identity. It's about packaging. It's about making your own difference. That's why I'm putting fragrance. It's not as if it is originally part of the components. So that is why.
Okay. Show us, ma'am.
So I had 3 liters of IPA here. Then when I removed 1 liter, it remains 2. And I had okay. So this ethanol is 1 liter. So 2 liters to 1 liter of IPA and ethanol will give us the mixture for the alcohol spray. That is to say, the ratio is just 2:1, no matter the quantity you want to do. You work it out, 2:1. That's just the ratio. Because you may not be doing the small quantity that I'm doing. We're doing this one because of experiment. It's not as if that's how we produce in large quantity.
She's showing us the step-by-step guide to making the alcohol spray. She's mixing it now. Uncle Paul, bye. Kó ba lè wí bó ṣe ń wí àbí mọ́mì kí lẹ ní mo sọ. Ọlọ́run ṣàánú wa ni. Àwọn ọmọ science student. Ó ti po chemical pọ̀. Àwọn ọmọ science student. Ó ti ń pò pọ̀ báyìí. Okay. So. Ó ti kan.
The alcohol spray is ready. I want to tell us the difference between alcohol spray and hand sanitizer. Alcohol spray is mainly for our surfaces. The places we can touch, the table, all the touchables. While the hand sanitizer is specifically for hand hygiene, where there is no water or where water is not at reach. So that's just the difference. So,
between the hand sanitizer and the alcohol spray.
Alcohol spray.
Okay. So, Mom, how much is this one like this in the market? The current.
Are you asking of my selling price or the cost?
Yes, your selling price. In case somebody want to buy in bulk.
Well, if you want to buy in bulk, is it the alcohol spray or
both? How much is? How
okay,
much
for the alcohol spray, 500
ml. Yes.
We'll be going for 500 naira.
Wait, 500 naira. Okay.
If you are buying in quantity.
If I'm buying in large quantity.
Yes.
Okay.
Then for hand sanitizer. If you are buying in large quantity too, 70 ml. Give me that container.
Mommy came prepared.
This is 500.
Okay, that is 500. This is not 70 ml. Sorry, this is the bigger one. This is 140 ml. Okay.
So this one is 500 naira if you are buying in large quantity. The 70 meals is 300 naira if you are buying in large quantity.
Large quantity, okay. Okay. Thank you so much, ma. Please, can we put our hands together for her? Mommy, you have a question? Okay, quickly.
Mommy, can we use methylated spirits in any of these?
That's a very important question.
No, ma. Methylated spirit is another chemical composition. Methylated spirit is made up of methanol. Not methanol. Methanol is not here. What we had here was IPA and ethanol. But methylated spirit is made up of ethanol and a little bit of IPA. So it is not the same time. You cannot use it for this product. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma. Please, can we put our hands together for her? SSA, please come and pioneer the movement of this table. We will be switching over almost immediately now. Before we do that, I'd like to welcome someone for the next 5 minutes to enlighten us on what is obtainable as far as the Lagos Ministry of Wealth creation is all about. The Ministry of Wealth Creation. Please, can we put our hands together as I make welcome the representative of the Honorable Commissioner for Wealth Creation and Employment, Mrs. Ogun Bayode Olukemi. Please, can we put our hands together for her as she comes and tell us what is obtainable in the Wealth Creation Department.
Good afternoon, everyone. My mothers and fathers, I can see you sitting down. And that is why I love this program. And I love the organizers because they consider the elders and they have gathered you to inform you, to get you informed about what is really going on in our society. I am representing my commissioner, the Honorable Commissioner, Mrs. Yetunde Arobieke, and my permanent secretary, Mrs. Bola Dele Dapo Thomas, of Ministry of Wealth Creation and Employment. We do at Ministry of Wealth Creation and Employment. And if you need any assistance, you can come to our department, come to our ministry. We are ready, we are there for you to help you. I just wish the Honorable Commissioner is here today because he loves to see people, he loves to see elderly people, he loves to relate with you. But she is unavoidably absent because of certain things. And I want our mothers, we have a package for you too. If you are selling, I don't know whether you are selling palm oil or whatever, come to our entrepreneurship department, join their association. They have some packages for you that will help you. And I've said it before that if you have a small shop and you want to have another shop, you want to develop, come to Ministry of Wealth Creation, LSCTF department, they will help you too. That is all we do. God bless you and stay blessed in Jesus.
Thank you so much. Ma, would you wait? You have one question. Somebody approached me, said he has a question. Quick. For the sake of clarity. Quick, please make it quick, sir. Quick and straight to the point.
Now, when do we come? When do we come?
We are there for you Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. We are always there. You just ask for Ministry of Wealth Creation and Employment, Alausa, Block 6. We are on top of energy. We are on top of Ministry of Energy.
Yeah. Can other people, can we from other states enjoy from this?
Enjoy which one? Which one do you want to enjoy?
Which one do you want to enjoy, ma?
What you have stated.
Yes. But you must be someone that resides in Lagos. And that is why you must have your Lastra number. If you don't have your Lastra card and your Lastra number, sorry, we will not attend to you. We don't want somebody to call. You heard that there is employment now, or the GIPP is going on, and you have been living in Ibadan before. Just because you add that, you now rush to Lagos to say you want to get employment. We cannot give you because people are in Lagos before you and they reside
Hello,
there.
ma.
Yes, sir.
Please, concerning the one we applied for, that they request for our either NYC number or the last number. So when should we wait for their response?
Which one did you apply for?
The one we just applied just recent, that they asked us to bring our last number.
And what is the name? What is the name of what you applied for? I'm sure you applied for it.
I applied for it.
So don't you know what you applied for?
I can't really remember.
When? Is it GIPP?
She cannot really remember.
We had to, sometimes we ask them to drop their CV at our local government because we have centers in 5 local governments in Lagos. That is Ojo, Epe, Ikorodu, Oshodi Solo, and Etiosa. So we asked them to drop their CV there. I don't know whether she's referring to that. Okay. But recently we just finished the GIPP registration. And that was the one I explained to you, that a graduate that I just served and the government is willing to employ them for 6 months to attach them to some employers.
Okay. Well done, ma. I want to thank you and your organization. I have a small and fast question.
Okay, sir.
Me, I'm saying Badagry, end of Badagry. So we'll be coming to Alausa to come and get all these things. You don't have your centers in
I just said it. I said we have 5 centers.
For a particular program now, the other programs.
It's not for a particular.
All the whole programs.
It's not for a particular program.
All the whole programs.
Hear me right, please. It's not for a particular program. Go to our centers. All these things I talk to you about, you meet it there. If you need to come to Alausa, they will take your information and send it to us at Alausa. We have at Ojo. Ojo is very close to Badagry. So you can come to Ojo Labor Exchange Center inside Ojo local government, and they will attend to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please can we put our hands together for the able representative from the Ministry of Wealth Creation. We're moving immediately into the second panel, and I'd like to crave our indulgence so that we can maximize the reason we came here today. If you have any question while the panel is going on, please do us a favor and document it so that immediately we start taking questions, it is fast and it is flexible. The next panel session is going to focus on social, psychological, and economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on individual and communal lives. Specifically, it will more importantly examine how the pandemic's economic fallout may have been the catalyst that inflamed existing grievances that sparked the unprecedented youth-led NSAS protests. It will probe some of the reforms demanded by the youth and how they can generally improve the well-being of Nigerians and the Nigerian economy. So we know that this next panel is going to center solely on the economy and, of course, the youth agitation with the NSAS movement. Without further much ado, I would like to invite our first panelist for this second session, in no person other than Professor Abiodun Oluwole Folawewo, who is a professor of macroeconomics, labor and development economics in the Department of Economics, University of Ibadan. Please, can we put our hands together? Professor Folawewo's research interests spread across macroeconomic, labor, and development economics. He has published extensively in these areas with over 50 publications. Please, can we put our hands together as we make welcome Professor Abiodun Oluwole Folawewo. You're welcome, sir. Thanks for joining us. Taking us further this afternoon, I have a professor as well on the list for our second session. Professor Fatai Adesina Badru is a professor of medical sociology and clinical social work, an adjunct professor of nursing, who is currently working with the Department of Social Work and Nursing Sciences at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos, Nigeria. Professor Badru has biopsychosocial educational training and skills. He is multi-skilled, he is dogged, he is resilient, and he is diligent. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I make welcome on stage for the panel session to Professor Fatai Adesina Badru. Please, you can come and have your seat, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of today's occasion. And the last but definitely not the least, is a doctor who happens to be a senior lecturer, Department of Psychiatry, College of Medicine, University of Lagos, a consultant clinical psychologist, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, popularly known as LUT, Lagos, and specializes in clinical assessment and psychological interventions across lifespan. Doctor is a member of several professional bodies, including Association of Psychological Sciences, APS, International Society for the Study. Please, put your hands together for doctor. Doctor, please. Please. Doctor, please. Doctor, please, keep clapping. And then, of course, my humble self, Adidayo Michaels, a first-class graduate of mass communication, Caleb University, who is, I just recently wrote a book. This next person is the first female professor. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Please put your hands together. First female professor of the Department of Mass Communication. My department. Mommy, I finished with the first class, by the way, mass communication. I'm not a professor yet, but I'm getting there. University of Lagos. She's an expert in development communication. That is 300 level. Public relations and advertising. I majored in broadcasting. She's an active researcher in the field of media, communication, and development. Her research outputs are expressed in her community service activities, which focus on social inclusion, social justice, and reducing gender imbalance in development. Ladies and gentlemen, please can you put your hands together as we make welcome the first female professor. You people don't know what I'm talking about. First female professor in the Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos. Professor Abigail Ogwezi Undesika. Thank you so much for joining us, ma. Okay, so I'll just get my own seat. I'll just get my seat quickly. I'll get my seat so that I can sit in the company of professors while I prepare for my own professorial endeavor. So thank you. So does everybody have a mic? Who needs a mic? Okay. Sir, do you have a mic? Okay, you're good. Okay, okay. I'd like to start with able economics in the house. The person of Professor Abiodun Oluwole Folawe. Well, every time I think about economics, I remember our last well is government. Alfred Marshall is the economist. So I always remember Alfred Marshall. So, sir, the first question of this next panel is for you. Do you think that the economic fallout from the pandemic may have fueled civil unrest, such as the NSAS protest in Nigeria? Do you think so, sir?
Thank you very much. And let me say that it is my pleasure to be here
Thank you so much,
afternoon. In order to communicate with the audience,
yes,
I'm going to be speaking. In order to communicate with the audience, I'm going to be using a mixture of English and Yoruba.
Yes, please, go ahead,
all right,
sir.
Yoruba sọ wípé ebi kì í wọnú kọ́rọ̀ mi wọ̀, and there's this simple English adage that says that an hungry man is an angry man. The advent of the coronavirus pandemic led to closure of businesses. People were out of their jobs. In fact, some people, they were denied their income. And if you look at the way Nigeria economy is structured, we have the greater part of the economy being resident in the informal sector, whereby people rely on daily income and daily activities. When you lock people down and you did not provide any means of livelihood for them, what we are saying is that I don't care if you go hunger. And at the end of the day, there was a window of opportunity for people to express their bottled-up anger in the name of NSAS protest. So to that extent, I will say yes. The NSAS protest was
fueled by economic fallout.
By the coronavirus pandemic. Quickly in Yoruba, what nǹkan tí mo sọ ní èdè òyìnbó ni wípé ìfẹ̀hónúhàn tó kọjá àbọ̀ coronavirus ni. Nígbà tí coronavirus dé, wọ́n ní gbogbo wa ká má ṣiṣẹ́. Wọ́n ti wà mọ́lé, wọ́n fún wa lóúnjẹ, wọ́n fún wa lówó. Ẹni tébi ń pa kò sí ọ̀rọ̀ míì tó fẹ́ wọnú ẹ̀. Ìgbà táwọn èèyàn rí àǹfààní láti fi ẹ̀hónú wọn nípa ìta ń pè ní NSAS protest, ó jẹ́ kí wọ́n tújú síta kí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣe bó ṣe wù wọ́n. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Daddy has told us that the fallout can be related to, the breakout of the NSAS protest had one or two things or more to do with the economic fallout from the pandemic. I'd like to move on now to my able prof, sir, Professor Fatai Adesina Baju, sir. Sir, in a communal society like Nigeria, what would you say from your own angle and overview of the pandemic, where the adverse effect, where the almost invisible effect of the pandemic and lockdown on social cultural interactions?
Okay.
Daddy, please use your mic, sir.
Yeah. Let me appreciate everyone that is there. I thank everybody that is here. Like my father has said, I will also interlace with Yoruba. Èdè abínibí torí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọmọ wa wọ́n ti gbàgbé èdè abínibí. Ọ̀rọ̀ ṣùnùkùn ní nǹkan tí wọ́n béèrè lọ́wọ́ wa yìí. Ojú ṣùnùkùn ni ládẹ̀ máa fi wá wò ó. Ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn pín sí ọ̀nà oríṣiríṣi. The moderator has asked, what are the communal effects? You see, there is what we call Ajobi and Ajogbe. You know, there is a classical work on that, Ajobi and Ajogbe. And there is what we call Gesellschaft and Gemeinschaft. Right? What that translates basically is that, you see, if we live in a communal life, we are used in African context, àjọ máa fìfẹ́ hàn fún àwa ni. Tí nǹkan bá ń ṣe ọmọ làkejì, ọmọ àdúgbò, ó ṣe èmi náà ní, ó ṣe ọmọ mi náà ni. But when we now live in a nuclear society, when we now live in a society that's associational, that we don't even care about what happens to others, then there are bound to be a lot of issues. Now the question remains, when this issue crop up, it has actually negated ó ti da ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan rú. Nígbà tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n wá dé wa mọ́lé bíi àgbò, bíi òbúkọ, bíi ajá, bíi ewúrẹ́, bíi ológbò, bíi àwọn bíi adìyẹ tí wọ́n pa máa jẹ́ adìyẹ mọ́nú àgò. Tá a bá fẹ́ lò fúngbà kan, tá a bá ti pé irú Christmas tó ń bọ̀ yìí sìn, àwọn kan á ti lọ mú bíi adìyẹ, wọ́n á ti máa wo pé àwọn ti máa rà, wọ́n á lọ dé wọn mọ́bì kan. Torí pé àrùn àjàkálẹ̀ tó bá gbogbo àgbáyé yìí, wọ́n wá ní kí gbogbo wa ká farapamọ́ fóṣù kan, oṣù méjì, oṣù mẹ́ta, tó bẹ́ẹ̀ jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. But wọ́n fún wa ní nǹkan tá a máa jẹ àti nǹkan tá a máa mú. Ebi wá ń paráàlú. Nígbà tí ebi ń paráàlú, ní àwọn ìlú tán ti ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀, wọ́n mú wọn, wọ́n ń fún wọn lóúnjẹ, wọ́n fún wọn ní nǹkan mímu. And bẹ́ẹ̀ dẹ̀ ṣe mọ̀, àwọn youth tó jẹ́ pé nǹkan tí àwọn bàbá wa sọ sí, àwọn youth wọ́n wà more than 60% of the population in Nigeria. And when there is anger, when there is hunger, there will be anger. Tí ebi bá ń pààyàn, inú á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ibi lódìlódì. Torí téèyàn bá jẹun kánú, wàhálà ń bẹ, ewu ń bẹ lórí kí ló ti máa ń pè lógélógé.
Yes, longer.
So ẹ rí pé àìmọye nǹkan ló dé, àwọn tó jẹ́ olórí wa yìí, wọ́n ń jẹ wọ́n mu wọn sanwó ilé, owó tó ń gbà kan náà fi ń sanwó ilé. Èmi àti yín àmà lálàṣì káàkiri láti jẹun. Ẹni tó níyàwó ẹyọ kan tó lọ́mọ léèwé, èmi yìí sì mo ò tí ì rówó ọmọ léèwé san. Mo dẹ̀ ń ṣiṣẹ́, ìjọba ò fún mi lówó, báwo ni yóò ṣe ní bí mi. Ẹni tó dẹ̀ ń tajà tí ò rí ẹni tó máa ra ọjà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ tí ò rówó fi rà, báwo ni yóò ṣe ní bí. Báwo ni ṣe lè gbọ́ bùkátà ẹ̀. So there are a lot of problems in this thing. So it has a lot of social-cultural, economic, political impact and meaning. I want to stop there for now.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Please can we put our hands together for him? I wouldn't want to be a victim of gender imbalance campaign. So before I take my doc, I'd like to move on to my able Professor Abigail, who is seated here. Ma, when I started earlier, I emphasized the fact that one of the dangers that we have seen, especially with COVID-19, is misinformation. So based on your experience and exposure so far, what would you classify as COVID misinformation?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Your Highnesses and Lord Spiritual and Temporal and every other person gathered here. And let me also appreciate the organizers for asking me to come here and share my thoughts. He's asked me to talk about misinformation. But
Yes.
while talking about misinformation, I think I also have to speak to the theme of this panel. The reality is that COVID-19 has brought a lot of hardship, no doubt about that. It's a global thing, and it's affected economies and the smallest unit of the society, that's the family. What we were purchasing pre-COVID, the cost has doubled in the market. In fact, I just saw one message while I was sitting here that Nigeria, we've slid into recession more than we have had in the last 33 years. So that has a lot of impact. But there is hope. There is hope. I was happy when the lady at the first panel said, you can multitask, you can do so many other things. So there is hope. What is affecting my family is also affecting another family. That's how I used to tell my children. But we'll come out of it and we'll come out stronger. But the reality is that even amongst us, we have not been fair on ourselves. I recall that a particular religious group, I don't want to mention the name, was sharing palliatives on the street. And they actually came to my house. I wasn't there. They gave to my cousin. And I just came out and I said, what is it about? He said, oh, they came to share palliatives. I said, but palliatives, they are meant for people who have nothing to eat. You have something to eat. So why don't they give to those who don't have? So even on our own as citizens, we have not helped the situation. And really, when people are hungry, they are angry. The idle man's hands is the devil's workshop. Hungry man is an angry man. We have been at home for some time now, particularly students. Yes. When you talk about information, the developed countries are actually using technology to put their younger ones in school. Even some of us who are parents, we are having issues managing children at home. And because we don't have access to technology, now we have NISDA, we have Ministry for Technology and all that. So it requires that as a nation, we should begin to rethink our priorities. Not just for us to stack money when we're in office, but to do things that will impact on the livelihoods of people, because you cannot talk about tomorrow. You know, so it is very important that we bring this to the fore. And looking at that technology, it has also heightened inequality. The children of the rich, they're in school at home with internet. What about the other ones? So at the end, the other ones will become the problem because they are frustrated. They will come out and fight the system. Now, talking about misinformation on the COVID, I was very happy when the lady from Ibadan, I think Christiana, that's her name.
Yes, Mrs.
She was here to enlighten us.
Yes.
I'm an apostle of homegrown solution.
Homegrown
solution. And that was what she did. I've written so many editorial. You're having malaria. We have been treating ourselves. Our fathers and mothers are not fools. You know, all the herbs they are talking about, we have been using them right from when I was growing up. But there has been a lot of misinformation going on. And most of us are the ones feeling it. You just get something, you are not an expert. You have not looked at the other side. You have not asked people if it is true. You begin to forward. And so we embark on practices that we shouldn't ordinarily. Till now, some people don't believe that COVID exists. There is that myth around it because of the misinformation and disinformation going on around it. But we can change the narratives, and that is why we are here.
Yes.
So one way of tackling misinformation is engagement. You know, development communication has gone past the point where you just go to radio and television and talk. I've listened carefully since I came in. And when people have concerns, they can raise it. I heard persons say, what is the dosage? What are those things that I need? And all that. But without that, people will spread what they don't know. Oh, I just heard, oh, you can use so help, whether it's complete or not. And the person is coming down and going. So it's our collective responsibility. The social media has heightened it, and that is why we need to do media literacy. I'm happy that our youths are here. It's not everything you just get, you begin to forward. And it's the anxiety. I'm happy you're a communication person. Yes. To say I'm the first to break the news. Breaking the news, you must, or telling people what they should do about this, go and find out very well. Yes. And be sure of your fact so that you can stand by it. So there is misinformation, but there is also truth. And we need better information management. And I'm happy that they organize things like this because you can ask questions and have clarifications. So it's no longer a top-down. Like the lady said, Christiana, she said she has her social media handle.
Yes.
You are lucky to have been exposed to somebody like that. So when you have issues, all of us may not be able to use social media, but tell our young ones to ask questions before you embark on spreading news. So collectively we can reduce misinformation. That would be my intervention.
Please, can we put our hands together for her? My prof has emphasized collective responsibility, collective societal responsibility to combating not just COVID-19, but misinformation itself is a virus. All right. So I'd like to move quickly now to my doctor, Dr. Charles Ume. Sir, given your experience with the Ebola outbreak, did the lessons learned from that period affect the containment planning for COVID-19? Did the planning have the desired impact? I'll take the question again. Given your experience with the Ebola outbreak, did the lessons learned from that period affect the containment planning for this outbreak? Did the planning have a desired impact?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you,
good
sir.
afternoon, everybody. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocol, believing that it was properly established. I'm happy to be here and to talk about this important COVID and other issues. Now, my question is going towards Ebola because I was part of the Ebola team. I'm also part of the COVID team. In fact, to answer Baba's question, he hasn't seen anyone, but I saw one-on-one the first person that brought the case in Nigeria. And I was a member of the team that saw so many cases in Lagos. And I was in the team based on the experience I had during the Ebola crisis as well. And that was what helped in containing this. How did that happen? The Lagos State Governor was very, very proactive. When the news of the outbreak came out in December, Lagos State set up a team. And the team set up preempting that Lagos is a busy state. And they got ready even before we had the first case. Now, in that team, we have different pillars.
Yes.
The first pillar, surveillance, epidemiology. My own pillar, psychosocial team. We have case management and other teams. All this was in anticipation of what might happen, which eventually happened. And that was what happened. When that first case was reported, we didn't have to start running helter-skelter on where to place him. Because the IDH hereby has been earmarked for isolation. And it could see that was where the first person was kept. Now, eventually, the IDH was evacuated because it was an infectious disease hospital. It was turned to COVID isolation. And other isolation centers emerged. That means a product of good thinking, good product from the Lagos State government. And that was why immediately we had a rise, we were able to contain it because all these things have been set in place. Could you have imagined what will happen if it wasn't in Lagos that we had the first case based on events thereafter? So that means Lagos State was a blessing to containment of COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please put our hands together. We can see that all our experts are doing justice to the individual specific questions that we're asking them. I'd like to travel back to the economy now with my doctor and Professor Folawe was standing by. Sir, what measures can the government put in place to mitigate the adverse effects of the pandemic on the economic growth of Nigeria, particularly for small business owners who had to shut down during the height of the crisis and may have to again, I beg your pardon, in the event of another lockdown? Did you get the question, sir? Okay.
I think I got the question.
Okay.
I would say that because of the nature of the virus and the way it came, we can divide the measures into two basic categories. the immediate one, which is the short term, and then the longer run measures. Now, if you look at the outbreak of the virus, it is not only the small-scale business owners that were affected, and they are still affected. Even the big firms were affected. Now, one of the measures put in place by government was to roll out different monetary policy measures. We see the central bank setting aside 1.1 trillion naira to help boost the medical and the pharmaceutical sector, and then to re-engineer certain sectors of the economy. Now, apart from that, about 50 million naira was also set aside to help small-scale businesses. Now, the question is, how many of these small-scale businesses have been able to enjoy the facilities? I said earlier that majority of the businesses in Nigeria,
yes, sir,
they are domiciled within the informal sector. The informal economy is where you have your Oshodi, Ajegule, and the rest. Now, these people, they are not registered with government. Most of them, they don't even patronize the commercial banks. What they patronize is microfinance and all these rotatory savings among themselves, like Roscas, Ajo, and the rest. If you are to really help them, the government will need to go to their associations and look at all these associations, see how we can give them financial support to boost their, so that their members will be able to benefit from what the government is doing. Now, I call that short-term measures. Now, in the longer run, the small-scale businesses on their own cannot survive. If the entire economy is at cornerstone. So that means measures have to be put in place to bring back the entire economy, right from the industrial sector, the manufacturing sector, the agric, and the rest. So it is when other economic sector come back alive that the small-scale business owner will also be able to benefit largely from the economy. Ní ṣókí nǹkan tí mo sọ ní wípé ọ̀nà tá lè fi ran àwọn oníṣòwò kéékèèké lọ́wọ́ ó pín sí méjì. Ètí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì lè ṣe nǹkan tó jẹ́ tá à ń pè ní lójú ẹsẹ̀. Gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì lè ṣe àwọn nǹkan tó bá jẹ́ ó máa jẹ́ kí ó máa gba àkókò díẹ̀ kó tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí yọrí síta. Tí àwọn lójú ẹsẹ̀ yẹn ìjọba ti gbìyànjú láti ṣe. Central Bank ó lóun fi 50 million. Mi ò mọ how many of us are benefited from that 50 million.
50 million beneficiaries. Okay, they're not here.
This is because you have to go through formal financial system. And of course, àwọn oníṣòwò kéékèèké olójú ètò ó lọ sí ilé ìfowópamọ́ nínú wọn. Àjọ ká máa kó ẹgbẹ́ jọ ni wọ́n ń ṣe àti àwọn ìkànsí àwọn microfinance tó ń pè ní gbọ́múlé kántà nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Tí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì bá rí lè fẹ́ ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ wípé kí iṣẹ́ wọn kó tó ti padà. Àwọn association wọn, àwọn ẹgbẹ́ wọn ni gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì máa pè jọ. Pé iye owó báyìí wà fún yín. Ẹ nídìí láti lọ sí commercial bank. Your association that is registered can help you to access that finance. So tí wọ́n bá ṣe yẹn, àwọn olókòwò kéékèèké wọ́n á tètè rí àǹfààní nínú nǹkan tí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì ń ṣe, iṣẹ́ wọn lè tètè padà. Ọ̀nà kejì ni wípé ìjọba gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe àwọn ètò tó máa jẹ́ kí gbogbo ọrọ̀ ajé ìlú gangan kó padà. Ìgbà tí gbogbo ọrọ̀ ajé ìlú bá padà ni àwọn olókòwò kéékèèké náà máa rí àǹfààní jẹ. Ilé-iṣẹ́ bá a ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí, àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ míì á fún àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n gbà síṣẹ́ kó tó di pé kòrónà bẹ̀rẹ̀ wọ́n sì dá wọn jókòó sílé ni. Bá a ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí, ilé-iṣẹ́ míì tó ní káwọn òṣìṣẹ́ ẹ̀ padà ìdajì sálárì náà fún wọn. Nígbà táwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ ńláńlá àwọn iṣẹ́ olókòwò tí wọ́n bá ríṣẹ́ ṣe, àwọn oníṣòwò kéékèèké àǹfààní náà kò ní dọ́dọ̀ wọn. That is why I said there is also the longer term measure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, can we put our hands together? If you are sleeping, say hi. Okay. 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 We have seen those that are sleeping now. Okay, sir, quickly, tracking back to my Professor Baju, sir, how can, in your perspective, how can family members and survivors of the virus handle the psychological toll of stigmatization and depression in isolation of the disease?
Well, thank you very much. You are asking a number of questions. I'm happy that we also have an eminent clinical psychologist here. You see, a family in setting, properly defined, can mean many things. We have what we call conjugal or nuclear family. We have what we call extended family. We have what we call modified extended family. These are simple things that we teach our students. Now, what we mean by a conjugal family? Bàbá àti ìyàwó, I usually want to intersperse with Yoruba. Bàbá ọkọ àti ìyàwó àtọmọ àbí kó má tiẹ̀ bímọ rárá. Ìyẹn la máa ń pè ní conjugal family. Now, or nuclear family. Tàbá wá ń sọ pé extended family system. We are talking about when you have two of these conjugal or nuclear family who possibly live together in the same household. Wọ́n gbé ilé òrukàn, ilé so tó máa ń gbé irú ilé yẹn báyìí, a máa ń pè wọ́n ní extended family system. But tá bá rí irú family Badru kan ní Èkó, tá bá rí kan ní Ọ̀yọ́, tá bá rí kan ní Kebbi, tá bá rí kan ní Kaduna, tá bá rí tó yẹ orúkọ yẹn náà yìí ń jẹ́, we call that modified extended family system. Now, in African context, we have a lot of network and support system. Tí n bá rí gàrí mú sí mo lè lọ bá ará àdúgbò tí ó nífẹ̀ẹ́ mi, tèmi náà dẹ̀ nífẹ̀ẹ́ dénú. Kì í ṣe é sì tọ́ pé téèyàn bá ra gàrí, nípa àti rówó ra gàrí gan wàhálà ni. Ká má ti wá sọ pé ayé ìgbà kan téèyàn bá ní gàrí, ó rí gàrí wà mú, inú ẹ̀ máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí dùn ni. Ó rí búrẹ́dì jẹ pẹ̀lẹ́ wà, inú ẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí. Á lè fún aráàlú, á lè fún ará àdúgbò, á lè fún mọ̀lẹ́bí. But nísìn, because the bread is also very scarce, it's even very difficult to access the fund to access the bread. So it's difficult for that individual, he or she wants to satisfy the immediate conjugal or nuclear family, right? He may not even remember the extended family out there, talk less of modified extended family. But if we form support group, that could be very, very, useful for us. That's the first approach I want to talk about. The second one about people who have tested positive, who have been treated, who have survived. Like has been said today, COVID-19 is real. There's no two way about it. People have survived, like we've said, like has been known. Over 80% have been known to have survived. But those individuals who have actually passed on, the family have a lot of processes. They go through a lot of phases. Denial, up to acceptance, depression, and so on and so forth. Those processes may not go in the unilateral form. Tí èèyàn bá pàdánù ojúlùmọ̀, àbẹ̀bí, àbíyàwó, àbọ̀mọ, inú ẹ̀ á bàjẹ́. Ìgbà mi ò tẹ̀lé máa wò ó pé kò tiẹ̀ ṣẹlẹ̀ rárá. Ṣé òótọ́ ni? Àbí kò ń ṣe òótọ́? Áyì máa wò ó. Denial nìyẹn. Òótọ́ wọn láì jẹ́ pé wọ́n fẹ́ sin onítọ̀hún yẹn gan, kò ní tí ìbílí pẹ̀ nìyẹn ṣaláìsí. That is denial. Ó dìgbà tó máa ṣe wáàsí àbí wàásù fún ipe ìjọ kan la wáyé, ìjọ kan la padà sí, erùpẹ̀ ní ìwọ náà ó yí padà di erùpẹ̀. Every soul shall taste death. That's what the Quran says. Now, having said that, the point therefore is that tí èèyàn bá wá ṣaláìsí, tó bá rí bẹ́ẹ̀, tí èèyàn pàdánù èèyàn tí òrùpọ̀ máa pàdánù. Àwọn bíi stigmatization pa àgbọ̀dọ̀ farajọ o. People, if you are informed, you will not be deformed. My people perish because of lack of knowledge. It is important that we are adequately informed, and that's what we are trying to do today. I.e., we should get adequate and correct and comprehensive information about what is happening. When somebody dies, and in fact, quite a number of things have been said. Some people even believe wrongly that if you touch somebody who has died, then of COVID, then you also get infected. There are protocols for that. Bible said that the important point is that those who have lost loved one, there are support systems, there are religious network, there are àwọn bàbá wa ọ̀fà ńláńlá mufti wọ́n wà bí wọ́n láwọn náà ń kàlí tán máa fún yàn tẹ́ bá lọ bá wọn tán níbo ló máa fún yín náà ń kàlí wọ́n láwọn sam tán máa fún tẹ́ máa kà tó yẹ pé ẹ̀yin kankan lè gbé bíbélì yìí mímọ́ ẹ lè gbé alukuran yìí kẹ́ẹ̀ka tó yẹ pé tẹ́ bá kà wọ́n yẹ pé sọ́wọ́n àlùfáà lẹ́mọ̀ bóyá Genesis or Revelation àbí Isaiah àbí Luke lẹ́ bá lè kà àbí Sam ó máa ní ipa tó máa kó lára wa. In other words, there are a lot of steps that can be taken. Spiritual dimension is there. Political dimension is there. Family support is there. So a lot of other people who are family members can be of assistance to us. These are some of those measures can assist to mitigate some of the impact on individuals who have lost a loved one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So please can we put our hands together for our prof? I would like to quickly get back again to my very first female professor as far as the University of Lagos is concerned, specifically the Department of Mass Communication. Ma, do you think we can manage information dissemination in the event of future outbreaks? How do you think we can manage information dissemination, especially from gatekeepers of information?
Thank you. I'll say yes, we can. And as a country, we require, because you see, the disease outbreak, both pandemic and national disease outbreak, has come to stay. We're already talking about yellow fever, Lassa fever, everything. So we need risk communication experts. You know, by the time we have different experts for different things. What we're doing here is stepping down communication. You see, it's an NGO that is organizing this. So it's not everything that you leave to the mass media to do. And even the religious leaders had gone to carry out a research because you need to do evidence-based and contextual planning. So you need experts, you need rich communication experts to deal with that. I'd gone to a community, it's on health intervention. And I said, look, before I design a communication this thing for you, I need evidence. They don't have fast. So I decided to go and carry out a rapid assessment. And when we got there, some of them said, oh, we can use newspaper. We get this. Okay. But two people gave me two takeaways from that community. One said that the first time he heard about that disease, I don't want to mention the disease, was from drama in a church. So all this drama that they do in religious gatherings, some say, oh, their religious leaders talked about it, and I'm happy they are here. They support so that we can have our people alive. If you don't have the people alive, you don't have a congregation. So you need to sermonize on it. Yes. That was on one distance. Then the media, our government, we should not be episodic. You know, once the thing comes down a bit, end of story. I just wrote a piece in the newspaper to say that even the federal government should sustain the campaign. Because it's not here to huru everybody, so it has to be on a continuum. And you need risk experts, you need the buy-in of the people. And one of them said that he will prefer, when they want to talk to them about health issues, to come to the palace of their Royal Highness. So you see, that is their trust. So any other thing you are saying, if it doesn't come from that platform, they are not likely to listen. So it has to be multidimensional. And people like to know things from their sociocultural networks and norms. So you go to that community, they say they like it on a market day, you know when they want it. And when you come to that place, you will talk to them, then they can raise their discontent, raise their concerns. Like Babana said, he has never seen anybody who died of COVID. Now, they've cleared his thought. If you are still in doubt, this is the man to reach. So it requires expert strategy and communication, not just top-down participatory. You have to serve the people the dish the way they want it. And that is when they are going to enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. I'd like to take Dr. Charles now before I get to the final questions for our panelists. So please, if you have questions from what have been discussed so far, please jot it down and then see my SSA here. Doctors, there have been several individuals who have publicly expressed their objection to partaking in any vaccine provided. There has been several individuals who have publicly expressed their objection to partaking in any vaccine provided. What do you have to say to those individuals?
Okay. As regards the COVID pandemic, you know, we're talking about misinformation. You could remember pretty well that when all these things started, you heard about, what's it called? This network, whatever they say, 5. What is it?
5G.
5G. It was crazy. There was like panic all over the air, right? Now, a lot of people didn't believe that there was COVID up to today because of misinformation. And now, I can tell you that the social network does not give much credibility to information we pass around now. Because anybody can stay somewhere and put out something and it begins to trend. Now, because of all this misinformation, there was that doubt in the air. Nobody wants to believe anything anymore, whether it's true or false. I could remember also that time that when vaccine was muted for COVID, people said it was, is it Bigot? That they want to implant something in our system.
Chips.
Now let's take our mind back to when we have our kids today. When do we start the vaccination? If you understand the concept of vaccination, all right, it's just like to introduce certain viruses or bacteria into the system to create the immunity so that when the person gets it, it won't hit the person down because the body has developed the antigens and the antibodies to fight over that virus. That is the essence. Now, why have we not come out with the COVID vaccine? Because it is a long process which begins from the lab. The lab people will come up and you remember the nature of the virus is another thing. Some virus, it cannot culture them because they keep changing form over time. They are mutating to other things. So it takes a very long time. Even when eventually you get a virus, there is what is called clinical trial. You will try in animals, then you have to try in human beings. All these things take
time.
A long process. Now, because of the misinformation going on, if you hear that, because some people said it was 666, once you take that vaccine, you have been marked for the beast.
For the rapture.
Those are the things that were going on. So with all this kind of information, will you be willing to make yourself the guinea pig? So, but now the world is coming to understand this virus better. Remember, the panic in the first 3 months of this virus is no more as intense as it is now.
Yes.
People are beginning to understand it. And that is the essence of investigation. Studies, bringing different experts. You see Prof talking about what? Risk communication. A lot of us don't know that you don't pass any kind of dangerous information to people anyhow.
Yes.
You need to get the right kind of persons that will tell you exactly what you need to hear in order to make you a bit comfortable. Now, in this COVID, we also did it. When the first people started passing information, telling you whether you're positive or not, they were not trained. So we have to come in to train our people to be able to disclose this bad news to you in such a way that you're going to accept it and understand it and comply with whatever that is coming. So with time, I can assure you, this vaccine issue will be resolved. And all of us will be able to what? Accept it just the same way we accepted the vaccine for measles, for diphtheria, and other smallpox and other diseases that we withstand today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'd like to take conclusive arguments and thoughts now at this time. I'm going to go back to Professor Folawewo again. I'd like you to answer the question and then leave your advice, as it were. Are there any economic measures that can be put in place to curtail further adverse impacts on the Nigerian economy? Are there any economic measures that can be put in place to curtail future adverse impacts on the Nigerian economy?
Thank you. Let me quickly say this. The Western world when you talk of the Europe, the America, and the rest, they have solid economies. But by the time the virus broke out, we see their economy breaking down. That's just to tell you that it doesn't matter the measures you put in place. Anytime there is another outbreak, if protocols or measures taken involve locking down the economy will still feel the impact. But the best thing we can do as a nation, as a country, is that we need to get our country to be productive. That even when there is another outbreak, at least we should be able to say confidently that for a certain period of time, our economy can still survive on its own. And that means we need to go back to the basics. The productive base of the economy must be strengthened. So that is my take on that. I don't know how to say that in Yoruba. But let me just see if I can try to say it in Yoruba. Kò sí nǹkan tí a fẹ́ ṣe sí, kò sí nǹkan tí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì lè ṣe. Tí àrùn míì bá tún bẹ́ sílẹ̀, tó bá jẹ́ pé irú àwọn ètò tí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì fi sílẹ̀, wípé ká tira wa mọ́lé, kó má sí káràkátà, òun náà ni wọ́n tún ṣe. Bí ó ṣe rí lára wa lọ́sẹ̀ náà ló ṣe máa rí nígbà yẹn. Tẹ́ ẹ bá wo àwọn ìlú tó nífọ̀ tó lé kan, àwọn Amẹ́ríkà ni o, England ni gbogbo, ìgbà tí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí tira mọ́lé tí ò sí káràkátà, economy wọn ó jò wálẹ̀. So Nàìjíríà nǹkan tẹ́mi rò pa lè ṣe ni pé ká kọ́kọ́ padà sí ibi tí ibi gbòǹgbò what do we call problem? We should go back to the root cause of our ìṣòro wa. Nǹkan tó jẹ́ kí á mọ̀ lára ju bó ṣe yẹ lọ ni wípé olórílẹ̀-èdè wa a kì í produce, that is, we are not producing. What we do is we consume. And if we continue that way, think if any other outbreak or virus should break out again, we still feel the same pain. We still feel the same effect. So the best thing we can do is let us get our economy to be productive and be less dependent on importation. A gbọ́dọ̀ rí pé orílẹ̀-èdè wa àwa náà bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣe oríṣiríṣi nǹkan ju pé ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ká máa gbójúlé àwọn nǹkan tá a lè rà wá láti òkèèrè. If you look at what happened, there was total stoppage of international trade. Domestic production also stopped. So what we need to do is get our productive base active. That even when there is another outbreak, at least for a certain period of time, the economy can still run. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, can we put our hands together for him? We have some questions here, but quickly, I'd like to get their individual closing argument. Professor Badru, what roles can the religious and community leaders play to lessen the adverse effects of the pandemic in all aspects of our lives? Religious and community leaders.
Very good. You see, the essence of religion is to care for the welfare of the masses. When Allah created Adam, alayhi salatu wasalam, the essence, of course, he had consulted the angel to say he was going to create a human being. And those angels told Almighty God, àwọn tó máa bá lé ayé jẹ́ ló fẹ́ dàsá yìí nǹkan wọ́n máa tàjẹ́lẹ̀. But last he created Adam, alayhi salatu wasalam. And of course, Kate Awawa, that's the wife. And that if you look at the creation, if you look at what the glorious Quran and the Bible and all of that are saying, it's just suggesting to us that we must be our brothers and sisters keeper, right? we must ensure that we put service above others and above yourself. Now, the religious, there is a difference between religious expression and religious practice. A number of people do not even understand. Ní àgbọ́yé ẹ̀sìn, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ò mọ bí ẹlòmíì gan tó jẹ́ àfáà àlùfáà ni, with due respect to our great mufti. Because if you look at what the glorious Quran says about a number of things, it's very clear that if you look at the kind of with due respect to the scholars here, the best example is the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this man, we know how he lived his life. He was very poor, right? He had a lot of knowledge. He was informed when he was 40 years of age. And he actually served. In fact, there was a time when the community, when Umar bin Khattab was going and he observed that somebody was cooking and cooking and cooking and cooking, and yet there was nothing to eat. And that's the person was actually cooking, placing stone, right? Placing stone. And the Khalif now remember that, oh, that means I have failed in my duty. I'm supposed to be a facilitant. I'm supposed to be a representative. And yet somebody in my community is unable. Tí ebi bá ń paráàlú, tí ìjọba ò bá ṣe òótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀, tọ́hún bá ṣe nǹkan, àbòsí náà ṣe yẹn, àbòsí ni. If our leaders are not sensitive to our plight, they are not interested in our needs, they have not done need assessment, they do not even know how 30,000 naira lanso. We are talking about paying 30,000 naira minimum wage. It does not even make 18,000 naira, for God's sake. We are even talking about those people in the informal sector. We are not even talking about those people in the informal sector. Those who mend tires, who does this and that and that, how do they survive? And we have more than enough. In fact, Salisu Lamidu Sanusi has said something. The money that a senator earns, if he divides it by 2, he can feed 200 individuals. 200 individuals. 200 individuals. If the money that a senator earns is divided into 2, and money for considered projects, what did they do? In any case, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, have you respected, have you fear your creator? That there will be a time, there was a time when you are nothing. There's a time that you are something. There will be a time when you will be nothing. Ayé ìgbà kan lọ́wọ́ bá dá wa tá àti ẹ̀mọ́ pa ń bọ̀ láyé. Àwa dalẹ̀ ayé tán wá ń ṣakọ. Ìgbà kan là ní wá jẹ́ nǹkan kan mọ́. Tán kàn máa sọ pé ẹni àná ti dẹni àná. And that is enough a lesson for anybody, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, wherever you find yourself, do good. Render service. Ensure that it's an opportunity for you to serve humanity when you are alive and well. Do well, and a number of things that we do, whatever we give, learn to share, learn to give without thinking of any reward, because it's only God in any case that can reward you adequately. The bird do not put on tie to the office. The fish in the ocean do not do any other thing, and then the fish is eating every day. The bird in the air, àwọn ẹyẹ ojú ọ̀run wọ́n ń jẹ wọ́n mu, wọn ò di táì mọ́ wọ́n dẹ̀ ń jẹ, àwọn ẹja inú ibú wọ́n ń jẹ wọ́n mu. And these are lessons for anybody to say, if I don't have this, if I don't have that, whatever God gives to you, remember that your neighbor around you, people around you must not suffer. Ensure that you do your best. You do not even need to have a church or a mosque or an NGO to ensure that you reach out to people who are less privileged than you do, and you genuinely care and attend to their needs without thinking of the. In any case, the reward will be for you at the end of it. Thank you very much for.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just to continue in that line of thought, I'd like to take the perspective of Dr. Charles Omer. Conclusively, sir, can you tell us, are we at risk of the virus mutating to the point that drugs and vaccines currently being developed will not be effective against it? Are we at such risk?
If you go back to history, okay, you will understand that some of these things will always have an antidote at any point in time. Now, I can give you an example. This current COVID has a replica in the recent past, but now it came in this form that we couldn't understand ab initio. Then with time, we started understanding it. Now, so long as we have life, so long as we have knowledge, okay, and technology,
yes,
I think we can always meet up to the demands of some of these mutations. All right? The only thing that will be difficult there is how long is it going to take us to get there? Are we going to have a lot of damage before that? Or is the reaction going to be very swift? Those are the things. And with technology and with better knowledge and understanding, I think the world is prepared to arrest whatever pandemic that comes its way.
Thank you. Please, can we put our hands together for Dr. Charles Ome? Conclusively, ma'am, what is the role, thank you, what is the role of the media in shaping, we say that in communication that the media is the fourth estate of the realm. So what is the role of the media in shaping public opinion about COVID-19 and basically about all other societal inclined issues?
Thank you. The media is germane, like you said, is a very strategic resource in terms of development because of its power in terms of reach. It can reach anybody. Before we met here today, all of us will have been on one media platform or the other. So it's very germane. But I tell you something, media is critical in awareness creation, but media may not really make us change behavior because of significant others. You know, as we come into this place, some of us are wearing a mask, some didn't even bother. What does it tell you? Our risk perception differs. So behavioral is critical, both the society and the individual. So the media can put out information, but they will not cause you to change behavior. If you look at studies on media, you will find out that the media habits of individuals differ. We found out that people of higher socioeconomic level range, the A and B group, are more likely to take seriously contents from the mass media because they know that those ones will have done back check, verified their sources and issues, they will have spoken to experts. But the other one at the lower level say, kilo shake, what is he saying? You know, and all that. So the risk perception of the individual is very important. So media can put out the message, but they can't force it to change behavior. If not, all of us have voters card. All of us will go out and vote during election. You have heard, go and take your voters card, you take it. Do we all go out? No. So they can give you the information. But what is important on matters like pandemic is to look at the risk perception of the individual. And that is more of an attitudinal thing. That's why in doing those communication, you need a psychologist who will look at the psychology of those people, and that will shape the platform that you use. The magic bullet theory has died, and I'm happy that you're a communication expert. So thinking that once you put out messages in the media, people will change behavior, you are deceiving yourself. You have to put it a whole gamut of communication. Mass media is just an aspect. I rest my case on that.
Thank you so much, ma. Please put your hands together. My prof is taking me back to my school days of where we used to debate in class. We're almost like lawyers at that time, where we're firing, and then we end with these few points of mine. I hope I've been able to convince and not to confuse you that we need COVID-19 palliatives right here in Ikeja. Thank you so much, dear panelists, for being with us. I have two questions here, specific, very exciting question here. One is directed towards my prof, economist, and then of course our doctor, and of course anybody can take it, anybody that deems fit to, go head to head with the question. It says, in recent times, there has been some economic fallout, especially in SMEs across developing nations. In recent times, there has been some economic fallout, especially in SMEs across developing nations. The increasing the poverty level in the country. So in your opinion, how can individuals, NGOs, and governmental agencies contribute to tackling these issues? So that's one question. I'll quickly take the second one that says, can they do the test for us free of charge without being isolated before the result? That is the question. Is it medically possible? Is it scientifically doable to conduct COVID-19 tests and, of course, economically free of charge without being isolated before receiving the outcome of the result? Those are the two questions we have. So I'll throw it open to anybody that wants to go ahead to help with it.
Let me try to take the first shot. I don't know what we have in the Quran, but in the Bible, it is categorically stated that the poor you always have among you.
The poor you always have among you.
So, there's nothing any government in any part of the world can do to ensure that there will not be poor people. But the issue is, it is the prerogative of the government to ensure that there is the gap between the rich and the poor is bridged. How do you do that? How do you do that? In advanced countries, there's what we call active social register. We don't have it in Nigeria. If we have active social register in Nigeria, you'll be able to know from word to word how many old people are there. From word to word, how many children are there. How many people are working. How many people are not working. How many people are in school. Once we have active social register, then it becomes so easy for government to assist the poor. To assist the poor. In advanced countries, there's what we call social security package. If you are out of job, all you need to do is go to a center, a designated center in maybe your area, put your name down that I am not working. Government will be giving you some stipend to survive every 2 weeks. We don't have that in Nigeria. It was so amazing that we were told that within 4 weeks or less than 2 months, certain billions of naira were distributed to people, and everybody was asking, I didn't get it. I don't know how many of us were able to get from that money.
Okay. How many got it here? You got it?
At all. Because it is not possible. Okay. We are just playing game of deceit because we don't have accurate record to do that. So going forward,
yes, sir.
For government to help the poor people, I'm still coming back to the SME. For government to help poor people,
yes,
I wouldn't say poor people. If you want to reduce poverty, there's what we call, there are some set of people we call the vulnerable group of people. And those are the aged people, the out of job people, the children and the rest. You must have accurate record of them. Then we must have provision, social security provision for them. So as they are feeling the pain, their government is able to rescue them, to support them to a certain extent. That is one. Then two, in terms of what can the NGO and the rest do, the NGO cannot provide jobs. It is the duty of the private firms. But government can do a lot. Provide the necessary infrastructure, make the environment conducive. Then the NGO, what they can do is what they call monitoring and evaluation. Government said we are distributing 50 million naira COVID-19 relief to people. And then there will be a showcase on TV, on radio that we have gone to social center. People, it is the duty of the NGO to monitor what government says is doing. Is it actually doing it? And if you discover that it's not doing it, make a noise. Now there is a slogan now, Soros okay.
Soros okay.
Make a noise about it.
Yes, sir.
For the small scale business owners, I've said it before. The major challenge of small scale business owners is that is lack of finance. How do you do that? And they don't even have access to formal financial facilities because they are on register. In most cases, they are on register. But what government can do is to work through the association, which I have said before. And of course, the small scale business owner must also be faithful. Whatever you are getting in support for your business is not a dash out. It's not like Father Christmas. You are supposed to use it for what it's meant for, so that other people can benefit from it. And one of the things we have found out in this country is that whatever we are doing that doesn't have political coloration, we don't want to do it. There is this trader money. People were asking questions. Where was your trader money before election was coming? Why did you start trader money when election was coming? Our government must be sincere and must be transparent in whatever they are doing. And if we do that, the small scale business, they will benefit a lot from most of government program, and then they'll be able to carry out their activities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for doing justice. I hope that the person that asked that question, the question has been judiciously answered. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me quickly add to what my prof has said.
Yes, sir.
From strictly Islamic point of view, I think from the Islamic point of view, we can look at Odabioko. In fact, when the Quran talks about Sadaqah or Zakat, it's like the third pillar. But ilé ò lè wà kó má lóko. Àwòkó márùn-ún tí wá wà tábà yọ sàlá tábà yọ láìláìlá Muhammadu Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam kó tábà wo salad bíi pé ó jẹ́ òkò. In fact, what àwọn Grand Mufti ṣe sọ ni pé bọ́lá ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ bá ṣe ń kírun náà ló ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ sàkáyíyan. So Sadakat and Wakfu and all that in chapter 9, I don't want to go into that detail. There are 8 categories of people that are stated there, miskin and so on and so forth, that ordinarily for NGO and religious group who are there to Islamic State, really there should not be poverty at all. Sadaqah, Zakat, and Waqf are supposed to eradicate poverty, not poverty elimination, not poverty alleviation. We are talking about poverty eradication, and I'm suggesting for people who are here, who are younger folk, go and look at chapter 9 verse 60. There are 8 categories of people that God has mentioned there, and the concept and the institution of Zakat, Sadaqah, and Waqfu are expected to take care of the poor, the needy, the vulnerable, the aged, the children, the wife, the orphan, and so on, and the widows. These are very, and even for those people who maintain that kind of institution, they are quite clear. And so we do not really require people who are upon our society. If indeed we are yearning, we take care of the need of our people. I want to stop there. My brother will talk about the issue of whether you want to take a test. It cannot be free, really. It cannot really be free. But it's not everybody that is tested that will be isolated. There are symptomatic people. There are some people who test positive. There are people who test negative. And if you test positive, they ask you to self-isolate. It's not everybody that is tested that will be asked to isolate. I think I want to stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Sir.
Okay, let me address the issue of free testing and the isolation. Now, for a very long time in Lagos State government have been bearing the burden of testing. And the kind of testing Lagos State is doing is the standard procedure. It is pretty expensive. And we all knew all over the world then that materials were scarce then. And then we have procedures in testing now. We don't just test anybody that says he wants to be tested for COVID-19. We have criteria. We'll send you to some site, okay, or we say if you have this symptom, if you have that symptom, call this number. And our people will evaluate the severity of this symptom. Now, if it is not that severe to be evacuated, now what do I mean by evacuation? That means taken to isolation center, okay, where you will be observed. Now, in that observation, they collect your sample and test. If it comes out positive, you are taken into the isolation center. Now, but if you are home, you are suspecting, then they check the criteria, okay, and they will send the team to come and collect sample from you. When they collect sample and you are positive, all right, and you are not severe, you are not showing symptoms, major symptoms, you can be asked to stay at home and self-isolate. Those are the criteria. Now, the reason is this. Without major symptom, and if you can self-isolate, you can't transmit it to another person. And we know that after 10 days, the virus becomes inactive in your system. By 14 days, you are free without being able to transmit it to other persons. So some people don't develop symptom at all. All they need to do is to self-isolate. After 14 days, we give them discharge certificate. They are free to go about. Okay? Now, the isolation issue, because that was, we also have issues of testing. You know, so many people came into the country, or so many people want to travel. And one of the requirements is what? Certificate. COVID-19 certificate. Government could not cater for that anymore. All right? So if you wish, you want to test because you want to travel abroad, now we have commission labs all over Lagos State now. We give you once you call the number, we give you this thing, you go to any of those labs charge you some token for that. But if you come down or if you suspect you have this symptom, government can still test you for free. But the point is, you must meet the criteria for such testing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please can we put our hands together for our panelists? Please can we put our hands together for our panelists? Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma, for being a part of this. Yes, taking all men, brother panel session 2. I would like to recognize those that are joining us all the way from Abuja. We have live feeds from Abuja. Live feeds from Abuja. We also have live feeds from Owerri, and of course we have live feeds from Kaduna as well. Those are feeds, and we're also expecting videos from all over. Okay, this is Abuja. Are we seeing Abuja? Is that Abuja? Or that's outside? Okay, that's Abuja. Okay, we have people. Abuja, can you hear me? Abuja, can you hear me? Abuja, shall I gbọ́ mi? Gbọ́ mi l'Abuja. Ṣé Ikeja here? I don't know what that means. So, okay, Owerri, do you have Owerri? Owerri? Do we have? Okay, this is still Abuja. And I was getting ready to say, Unna, can you hear me now? Are you still there, my brother? Chai, they are doing their own there. Okay, so let's move quickly to Kaduna. What do we have in Kaduna? This is Kaduna. Kaduna, can you hear us? Okay, they are doing fine as well. So we're expecting videos from across board. Like I said earlier at the beginning, that this is a global colloquium and we are filming from across the globe. I'd like to thank everybody that came. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma, for being a part of this panel session. Please can we put hands together for them? As they go, please, sir, please. Where is the cameraman? Cameraman, I'm an aspiring professor. So let me start standing around professorism so that the grace can follow me. Man, please. So by the time they caption the picture, they will say a cross-section of professors. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma, for being. I'll help you with this, ma. Oh, thank you. Okay, we have very two important sessions to go, and then we take our vote of thanks here. Trust me, you want to listen to this one. This representative is from the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. The Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. So please, I beg you to listen to this eminent and indeed statesman person I'm about to bring up. She is coming all the way from the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund and has the next 10 minutes to educate us on what is obtainable in the department. Please can we put our hands together for Mr. or I'm not sure, Mr. Olaoluwa Odugbeson, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olaoluwa Odugbeson, and I'm representing the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. I don't think you can hear me. I'm representing the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Now, let me just give you a brief overview of what the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund does. We were set up in 2016 to bridge the unemployment gap in Lagos State. Basically, what we do is we give MSMEs, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. We fund them microcredit, well, we finance them, which in turn allows them to boost their business and also employ more people, which also makes people, you get basically creates employment in Lagos State. We also have another scheme called an employability support project, where we are training people, youth in Lagos State that are between 18 to 35 years old. We are training them in different sectors across fashion, absolutely free by the way, across fashion, construction, manufacturing, electricals, about 8 to 12 months intensive training. And we also have off-takers, people who have signed agreements with us that once you perform well and reach about 90% attendance, and you perform well, they immediately give you a job after the training. So basically, what we require you to have to apply for any of these schemes is LASRA card. A LASRA card. I don't know if you are familiar with the LASRA card, but LASRA is Lagos State Residence Registration Agency. You can get the card at any local government. It's free. You can just go and register there with a proof of address, and you get the card. We also require you to have a means of tax identification. That means that you pay tax. Because most of the funding, most of the money we are giving businesses is taxpayers' money. So it's only right that people that can access it are also taxpayers as well. So it's two of the critical requirements to access any of our programs are Lagos State Residence Registration Agency card, which is a LASRA card, and also a tax card or a tax revenue receipt. Once you have these two things, you can apply for anything from 50,000 to 5 million naira from Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Interest is 5% basically. So let me give you like a scenario. If you take a 500,000 naira loan from Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, you are paying back a total of 525,000. So the interest is 25,000, and we will draw up a repayment schedule for you where, like now, you can calculate it yourself. 525,000 divided by 12. You have 12 months to pay back. So 525,000 divided by 12 is 43,750. So you'll be paying 43,750 every month for a year. If you take anything over 500,000 to 5 million, you have 36 months to pay. That's 3 years. You will divide whatever you are paying back over 36 months, basically. And that's basically what we are offering at Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Basically trying to bridge the unemployment gap in Lagos State. If you want to apply, you can visit apply.lsctf.ng, or you can go to any local government. Across all the 20 local governments, we have an office in every local government. So you can go to any local government in Lagos State, not LCDA, local government, and pick up a form and apply for the loan. Thank you very much. I don't know if there are any questions. Yeah, I'm listening.
Hold on a sec, please. The professor is trying to give me the microphone. My question is for the employment stuff.
Okay.
Will you give to a self-employed person?
Yes, absolutely. You mean you are running your own business?
Yes, I'm running my own business now, and I applied for it. Can you, in your office, give to somebody who is a self-employed person running his own business without a proposal?
Absolutely. In fact, you are the exact people we are looking for. Yes. Those are the people who actually qualify for the loan.
We will visit the place and see it.
Yes, we do our normal KYC. Know your customer. We check it and do spot checks and verify your existence. And once we are fine with that, you get.
Okay. Please let there be a rule of a rule on of the website to visit.
Yes, I didn't bring any PowerPoint presentation, but if you can take it down, the website is apply.lsctf.ng. I'll say it again, apply.lsctf.ng. And the requirements are, you also need to, once you're applying for a loan, you also need to provide 6 months, at least a minimum of 6 months bank statement, your personal bank statement. If you're applying for anything over 500,000, you need to have a registered business and provide 6 months bank statement of your company account. That's your company, your corporate statement. I think that's fine. I don't know if there are any other questions.
Yes, please. Do you have a package for MCs?
Yes, now we can talk after this. After this.
Okay, we can talk after the.
Yes.
Please, don't go too far.
No wahala, no wahala.
Please, thank you. Please, can we put our hands together for him? That is Mr. Olaoluwa Odugbesan, all the way from the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Quickly. Yes. Quickly, I'd like to welcome all the way from the National Directorate. Ẹjọ́ àwọn ẹ̀wọ̀n yẹn àti jollof rice ń ṣe kókó, but èyí tá à ń ṣe yìí náà ó ṣe pàtàkì. Ẹjọ́ National Directorate of Employment, Lagos State. This dignitary is representing Mrs. Serena O. Edward, the State Coordinator of the Lagos chapter. Please, can we put our hands together as I make welcome for another 5-10 minutes, Mrs. Omotola Oderewa, as she enlighten us on what is obtainable in our sector.
Thank you. Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. As earlier said, my name is Omotola Oderewa, and I'm here to represent my state coordinator, Mrs. Serena O. Edwards. Permit me to please stand on the existing protocols. NDE was established in 1987. Can we hear me, please? Let's just listen. I won't talk for more than 5 to 6 minutes. So NDE was established in 1987 and for the major purpose of combating the rate of unemployment in the country. Now, since its inception, NDE has, through its various program departments, been able to assist people to stand on their own, to be self-employed. In NDE, we have a unit called the Job Center, of which I am. And what we do is to counsel the unemployed. We counsel you and we register you and refer you to the various program departments that you require, depending on what you really want to do. Now, I said we have 4 program departments in NDE. We have the Small Scale Enterprise Department. In the Small Scale Enterprise Department, what we do there is basically business skills. We help you to acquire business skills. And we have seasoned facilitators who will take you through how to start and run your own businesses successfully. In this department, we collaborate with so many organizations. We collaborate with the NYSC, we collaborate with CBN and so many other organizations. In fact, currently we are collaborating with CBN, for the agric loan. And you have to go through the Nassau Microfinance Bank and register, and then we organize a business training for you, after which you can present your business plan to the CBN and obtain the CBN loan. We also have the agric department. In this department, what we do basically is to train people on how to acquire agric skills. Fish farming, crop farming, livestock farming, name it. Just come to NDE and we'll help you to acquire these skills. Now, we have the Special Public Works Department. Under this department, we have a program, that is called the Graduate Attachment Program. It is similar to what the Lagos State government is doing. It is a program whereby we connect job seekers to stakeholders that need your services based on your discipline. Now, we attach you to organizations that need your services, and it's basically for the purpose of acquiring experience, on the job. Many of you go out to seek for employment opportunities and they begin to ask you, how many years experience do you have? And so this program is geared towards, achieving that purpose. So after which, you can be retained by that organization if you perform well within a period of 3 to 6 months. And the good thing about this program is that during this period, we pay stipends, to you. And finally, we have the VSD department. It's called the Vocational Skills Development. This is the department that is in charge of helping you to acquire skills. We all know that it is no longer a big deal to be a graduate anymore. Yoruba people will say, "Atelowo eni ni ko kin tan eni je," whereby your profession fails you, your skill and your handwork cannot fail you. I am not saying that it is not important for us to acquire formal education, but it's very important for us to acquire skills, because a lot of people have gone, that direction now with the skills. Look at what we learned here today. In fact, I had to see the facilitator on how to make sanitizers, for myself. And these are the things we do in that department. We help you to acquire skills like tailoring. We have cosmetology, catering. We have, both domestic and technical trades. Those are all the skills we help you to acquire. And the good thing about ND is that all our programs are free of charge. We don't charge you a dime for acquiring any skill with us, and we even pay you stipends during the period you undergo the training. And another good thing with ND is that we have our state offices in all the 36 states of the Federation, including the FCT. Our headquarters is in Abuja, of course, and in Lagos State here, our office is in Yaba. If you want to undergo any training with us, you can just visit us at number 7, Barikisu Iyede Street at Onike Yaba. You will come in, we will counsel you, we will register you for the programs, and then you'll be sent to the trainers that will help you to acquire this skill. So I want to encourage every one of us here, if you know you don't have any skill, that you can call your own, just visit the NDE office and we'll help you to be able to acquire those skills. God bless you.
Ladies, okay, Mama has a question. Okay.
You said you have your offices throughout the Federation. I would like to know where it is at Oyo State.
Mama, where in Oyo State their office? Okay.
Okay, I may not be able to tell you here where all our offices in all the 36 states, but for easy access, you can visit the secretariat in that state, and you'll be able to find out where NDE office is. Or you can visit us in NDE Lagos State. We'll find out for you where all the state offices are. The state office you are looking for, and we'll be able to assist you with that. But I think the Oyo State office is in the secretariat. And we even have zonal offices. We have 6 zonal offices, and our southwest zonal office is in Ibadan. I think it's around, is this Songo? Where do they call that area? Something like that. So that's it. Any other question? Thank you very much.
The only question now is if food has not gotten to anybody. Is there anybody that has not been given food? Question. Ma, you can't, they say there's a question. Okay, quickly. So we can take the vote of thanks and people can properly focus on. Can you project your voice, Ma? Come forward. Device, what? Address, okay.
Okay, I said the Lagos State office is at number 7, Barikisu Yede Street, Onike, Yaba, very close to the customs office. Thank you. Social media handle? Yes, www.nde.gov.ng. Thank you.
www.nde.gov.ng. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Adedayo Michaels. For those that were not here when I introduced myself, when we started, they call me the Billionaire Compare. I anchor indeed all kinds of events, and it has been my sincere honor and privilege to be the compare and moderator of this year's Taking All Men Border event. I want to thank the organizers for granting me this opportunity and privilege. If you need to reach out to me for an event, I'm on Instagram at Adedayo Michaels, on Facebook at Adedayo Michaels, and of course on Twitter at Adedayo Michaels as well. If you need to check out my work, I have a website, www.billionairecompare.com. That's where all my works are. So in no particular order, I'd like to bring up for the vote of thanks our bishop, sir. He was standing by for me. Somebody please help me get the bishop. Bishop, sir. Okay, bishop is on the way. Our bishop, please, if food has not gotten to you, please let me know so that I can announce it from here. Please, can we put our hands together for the vote of thanks taken by Bishop Funsho Awe. Please, can we put our hands together? This is our bishop.
Thank you very much, MC. We need to acknowledge and appreciate each and every one of us, most especially for making it to this place today. We acknowledge also some of us who came here very early and from the farther part of Nigeria. A fi àsìkò ìdúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo àti àwa láti Ìbàdàn àbí tá a wá láti àwọn ìlú tó yàtọ̀ sí ìlú Èkó. A dúpẹ́ gidigidi lọ́wọ́ yín nítorí pé kì í ṣe nǹkan kékeré láti fi ibi tí a wà sílẹ̀ láti wá síbí. Àdúrà wa ni pé bí ẹ ṣe débí láyọ̀ ẹ ó padà sílé láyọ̀. Fún àwọn àfáà wa a ní assalamu alaikum wa rahmatulahi wa barakatuh. Fún àwọn bàbá wa ìwé ajẹ́ o abọ́rú àbọ̀yè Olúwa wà pẹ̀lú wa o. Ọlọ́run á pa gbogbo wa mọ́ o. Àdélébáre àrìnàkórè Olúwa máa ṣe ọ̀nà wa o. For those who have come in as our facilitators, we cannot thank you enough. We appreciate you from the very bottom of our heart. I know a lot of people have come representing different organizations. We appreciate all of you. I don't want to start mentioning all the organizations one by one because I might miss some out and might become a problem. But we acknowledge you. We thank you for coming. And I hope you will bear with us in all things. You see, we are trying to get better and better effect on the individual and the community of COVID-19. Even right now, we are still battling with the effect. The present state of the economy is part of the effect. Because to me personally, a lot of things have been badly mismanaged by our government. If not, we should have gotten better than where we are now. Apart from that, this year 2020 has been a very traumatic one. But I pray the year 2021 will be a fantastic one for all of us in the name of Jesus. Because one, I always tell people, no two bad years follow each other. So the next year will be good. And please, all of us, no matter our religion, let's continue to pray to God. We need a lot of prayer in this country. Pray that our government will begin to be responsible and will be able to do better than where we are now. We all know the aftermath of the EndSARS protest. But those monsters we have breeded, they are still there outside on the street. And nobody is doing anything to change their condition. And if you don't change their condition, then they will change our condition. God will help us all in that. So once again, thank you very much and God bless you. Thank you for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizers, I wish you safe journey back to your respective destinations. Good night and thank you for coming.
We have our GIPP going on now. I don't know if you have heard about that graduate internship program for those that have served. So the governor